Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started, albeit a few minutes late. Thank you for your patience. So let's call this meeting to order and begin with a roll call, please.
All right. Good morning. Commissioner O'Malley.
Present.
O'Malley. I don't see Commissioner Escalante online yet. All right. Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Commissioner Lowenberg. Commissioner Smith.
Present.
I don't see Preciado yet either. Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Brownfield.
Here.
Commissioner Eckerly.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Chair Harmon.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, now we will move to the virtual meeting procedures. Galen.
Good morning. This Coastal Commission meeting is occurring both in person and through Zoom. This meeting is also being webcast and can be viewed online at cal-span.org. If you have internet access and wish to watch or listen to the meeting only and not speak on an item, we recommend you use the CalSpan website. Those who wish to address the Commission today can do so in person, through the Zoom platform, or by phone. The speaker request forms may be found on the Commission's webpage. Paper forms and a scannable QR code for paperless submittal are available on the Commission staff table just outside the meeting room. For those on Zoom, we have posted virtual hearing procedures on the Commission's agenda webpage, which is a guide on providing comments via Zoom or by phone. Members of the public speaking during general public comment may be given up to 2 minutes to speak at the discretion of the chair. Requests to speak during the general public comment period will not be accepted after 9 a.m. on each day of the meeting. In order to provide the opportunity for the broadest range of public participation, you may speak on a specific topic one time only each month. Those speaking on an agenda item that is not general public comment are typically allowed 2 to 3 minutes to speak at the discretion of the chair. We will accept a request to speak on a regular agenda item up until the chair opens the hearing on that particular item. If you have internet access, please go to the Commission's webpage and click on the link to fill out a speaker request. If you do not have internet access or prefer to testify by phone, please call the Commission staff at 562-477-9089. Again, that number is 562-477-9089. Staff will provide you with a telephone call-in number and instructions for how to participate and provide testimony by phone. We will manage speakers coming in and out of the meeting through a meeting organizer. When it is your time to address the Commission, the organizer will invite you to turn on your video and microphone or provide instructions on how to unmute the phone. Madam Chair, that concludes the virtual hearing procedures.
Great. Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Schwing, to you for agenda changes, please.
Thank you, Chair Harmon, and good morning to the Commission and to everybody who is joining us today for the hearing. We do have a number of agenda changes, total of 11, 3 of which are new additions since we posted the agenda changes memo earlier this week. Starting with item 10A, CDP application 123-882. This is the Louderback Harbour North project in Fort Bragg. That is moved to consent. Then next, item 12A, this is the City of Dana Point's LCP amendment for their zoning code IP cleanup. That is postponed. Next, item 14A, the CDP application 523-237, the SCRRA Metrolink project out of San Clemente. That is postponed. Next, item 14C, CDP application 525-579. This is a dock project in the Dana Point Harbor by OC Parks. That's moved to consent. Item 16A, the City of Oceanside's LCP amendment on their appeals process, their local appeals process. That's moved to consent. Item 16B, the City of Carlsbad's LCP amendment on the airport uses. That is moved to consent. Item 16D, City of San Diego's LCP amendment on their Clairemont community plan. It's a time extension only. That's moved to consent. Item 16E, the City of San Diego's LCP amendment on their community enhancement overlay zone. Again, an LCP time extension only. That's moved to consent. Item 16F, the City of San Diego's LCP amendment on their AVA Pacific Beach project. Again, a time extension only. That's moved to consent. Item 16G, the City of San Diego's LCP amendment on their Preservation and Progress Package A LCP amendment. Again, a time extension only. That's moved to consent. And then last, item 17A, this is application 333A6, Surfsong application out of Solana Beach. That is moved to consent. And that concludes today's agenda changes.
All right. Thank you. Now we'll go to Ms. Warren for a report on yesterday's closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Harmon. Yesterday, the Commission met in closed session. It received litigation information and advice on City of Fort Bragg versus Mendocino Railway, City of Dana Point versus California Coastal Commission, Sable Offshore Corporation et al. Versus California Coastal Commission. It also received litigation information and advice and took action on a matter of potential litigation. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will move to general public comment. I'll turn it over to you, Galen.
Thank you. For members of the public, I will be announcing the names of the upcoming speakers and invite you to speak when it is your turn. Each speaker will be allowed 2 minutes during general public comment at the discretion of the chair. In order to allow for live video testimony on Zoom, we will be bringing you in as a panelist. As we bring you in, your Zoom will reload. This may take a moment. To speed up this process, we will bring several people in at a time. But please remain muted and keep your video off until we ask you to speak. After your time is up, you will be moved back to the attendee role. For members of the public present in the room, I will call your names in the order that they appear on your sign-up list. When you hear your name, please line up behind the podium and introduce yourself when you approach to speak. There is a raise hand function that will help us find you in the attendees list. If you are using a phone for audio, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. If you're participating by Zoom, you should see a button on your Zoom screen. If you have signed up to speak for this item and are able to do so, please raise your hand now. When it is your time to speak, we will invite you to unmute and turn on your camera. You can unmute yourself on a phone by dialing *6. So first up in person, we have Joan Tharp, Carolyn Mullen, and Ashwin Manthrapragada. Joan Tharp.
And can you turn on the
Oh,
mic?
please press the button.
Here and talk. Read the instructions. I believe there was a slide that was submitted.
Give us just one moment.
No, there was another one.
Tharp, Joan
Tharp.
Tharp.
That's okay. Perfect, thank you. Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Joan Tharp. I live in Port Hueneme, and I'm a volunteer with the Surfrider Foundation Ventura County chapter. I'm here today to share a project close to home at the Hueneme Beach Park Dune Restoration. In partnership with the City of Port Hueneme and through Surfrider's Climate Action Program, We are restoring 2.5 acres of degraded coastal dune habitat using nature-based solutions. For years, invasive ice plant, Bermuda grass, and European sea rocket have crowded out native vegetation at Hueneme Beach Park, weakening the dunes' ability to buffer storm surge and erosion. Since launching in 2025, more than 400 volunteers have removed over 18,000 pounds of invasive plant material. That's 1 year. We've installed sand fencing to rebuild natural dune topography, and like last year, this year we'll be doing a large native plant effort before the winter rains. This site sits directly adjacent to the Ormond Beach wetlands, so restoring these dunes helps connect two critical ecosystems and strengthens the coastline's natural defenses against sea level rise, consistent with the City of Port Hueneme's certified local coastal program. The project is funded in part by an $80,000 state coastal conservancy grant, along with support from Patagonia, Yardi, and Coastal Quest, as well as donations by our members. But its heart is indeed the community. City leaders, students, and neighbors working side by side 1 Saturday a month. We invite the Coastal Commission and the public to visit, volunteer, and see nature-based coastal resilience in action at Hueneme Beach Park. Thank you for your time and for your continued work protecting California's coast. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Carolyn Mullen, followed by Ashwin Manthra-Pragada and Daryl Gale. Ms. Mullen, please go ahead.
If you could turn the mic on, please, ma'am. Just press the button at the bottom. Thank you.
Is it on? Okay, great. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Carolyn Marina Mullen. I'm the Executive Director of the Oxnard Performing Arts Center nonprofit, and I'm here today to express our sincere gratitude for the California Coastal Commission's recognition of the important role that artists and arts organizations can play in coastal stewardship. Through the Whale Tail Grant Program, OPAC has the incredible opportunity to support 3 artists in residencies along our coastline in Port Hueneme, on their beach, Oxnard beaches, and at the Channel Islands Harbour. These residencies will invite artists to engage directly with our coastal environments and work alongside community members to inspire a deeper connection to the places we all cherish. Conservation is most successful when people feel personally connected to the places they're being asked to protect. Artists have a unique ability to create those connections. They help us see familiar landscapes with fresh eyes, spark curiosity, and translate complex environmental issues into stories and experiences that resonate across generations and cultures. As an arts nonprofit, we deeply appreciate the Commission for seeing that arts not simply as an enhancement to environmental work, but as a trusted partner in advancing conservation, education, and community engagement. That recognition is meaningful, and it reflects an understanding that protecting our coastline requires both science and storytelling. On behalf of OPAC and the communities we serve, thank you for investing in creative approaches to coastal conservation. We are honored to be entrusted with this work and look forward to sharing the impact these artist residencies will have throughout our region. And I brought some fun stickers, but I'm running out of our whale stickers, so you're gonna get some sassy owls and some butterflies. Thank you. I don't know who to give these to.
Next up, we have Ashwin Manthra-Pragada, followed by Daryl Gale.
Good morning. My name is Ashwin Manthra-Pragada. I'm a lifelong resident of coastal California, currently living here in this very beach town I'm fortunate to call home. I walked here this morning. I speak today not only as a private citizen, but also on behalf of the Environmental Defense Center, where I serve as Development Director. First, I want to thank each of you for your service. I know your work is often difficult and sometimes controversial, but it is essential. For 50 years, the California's Coastal Management Program has protected this beautiful and biodiverse coastline, not by accident, but because Californians chose to create strong public protections and entrusted this commission to uphold them. The current federal review is being framed as a routine evaluation, but many of us recognize what's really at stake. This is about whether California will continue to have the authority to protect our own coast, or whether those decisions will be weakened in service of offshore oil expansion and industrial development that put all of us at risk. The Consistency Review Authority of this commission has resulted in the protection of our coast from devastating impacts of LNG and of more offshore oil drilling. As the federal government targets the California coast with proposals for more and more offshore drilling and assists the restart of Sable's pipeline, it's ever more critical that we ensure the people have a voice in our coastal management for the health of our environment and economy. For me, this isn't abstract. My dearest friends are surfers, I'm not, and swimmers and beachgoers. My family comes here from all over the world, and when they come here, they can't believe what they see. And we are entrusted to protect this place. It reminds me, lately I've been walking the shoreline at dusk, and I notice a heron always in the same spot doing its nightly routine of fishing or just watching the coast. So I watch the heron watch the coast. And it reminds me that this is a shared inheritance, and it's up to all of us to protect this place for generations to come. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. We have Daryl Gale in person, and then we'll move to Zoom for Bonnie Ernst and Shelley Hilkema and George Hilkema. Daryl Gale, please go ahead.
Just push it one more time, ma'am. There you go.
Okay, I'm Daryl Gale. Hello, commissioners. Was it your intention to turn the California coast into a radioactive, apocalyptic, dead zone nightmare? I'm talking about the 3.6 million pounds of nuclear waste on the beach at San Onofre. I was there in 2019 in Chula Vista, where you or your predecessors let Edison talk you into believing it would be just fine. They'd take care of it. What are you doing to mitigate, monitor this catastrophe you created? Year after year, month after month, you ignore it. Just last month, I was in San Diego, if I look familiar. My colleague Nina asked about gouged canisters out of compliance. Commissioner Nordhoff asked staff, who also ignored the question. Complete acquiescence to Edison, and when PG&E wants to extend their aging Diablo Canyon facility, you happily go along with that also. Did you tell the Olympic Committee that they're sending all these healthy young surfers in 2028 to that surfing competition that's in the same area? At least tell them to get thyroid pills. So what are we as citizens supposed to do? I have been up to Sacramento at least 10 times. Nobody in Sacramento knows anything about this mess either. And when I tell them about it, I even got to talk to two of Newsom's staff, and they giggled and got all embarrassed and acted like they didn't know anything about it, so that just excused it. So I don't know what to do anymore. I keep coming here, nobody does anything, nobody talks about anything. It just keeps getting ignored, and I'm really, really frustrated. We're just waiting for a tsunami and an earthquake. Venezuela had two, and now Elon Musk is sending rockets with radioactivity into our atmosphere.
Thank you. Next up, moving to Zoom, we're going to start off with Bonnie Ernst and then Chaley and George Hilkema. Ms. Ernst, please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Harmon and Commissioners. I'm Bonnie Ernst with the Oceano Beach Community Association. There's no rush, but I do have 4 slides to go along with this. And I wanted to speak to you today to provide a quick history lesson, mainly for the newer commissioners that maybe I haven't met yet, about one of California's most glaring examples of environmental injustice, and that is the coastal zone of Oceano. For decades, this low-income, majority-minority community has been treated as a regional sacrifice zone, forced to bear industrial and recreational burdens that would likely not be tolerated in wealthier coastal areas, fundamentally violating the spirit of the Coastal Act. First, there is the Oceano Dunes State Vehicular Recreation Area, likely most familiar to you. Oceano's beach remains the only state park beach in California where vehicles drive through a residential coastal zone. This severely disrupts safe public access, degrades sensitive habitats, and erodes one of the state's most beautiful beaches. Slide, please. The wastewater treatment plant. Second, our coastal anchor is a regional wastewater treatment plant, processing the sewage of surrounding communities while sitting in a low-lying, flood-prone area adjacent to sensitive wetlands. Slide, please. The Oceano Airport. Next to the plant sits a 60-acre recreational airport. This underutilized, fully fenced runway locks up prime coastal land and prohibits general public access for the benefit of affluent, mostly out-of-town hobby pilots. Slide, please. It sits squarely in a severe flood and tsunami zone, and it is demanding millions of dollars for projects that threaten to lock in these liabilities for decades, much via federal grant assurances. As commissioners, you inherit a legacy of fragmented planning. And I thank you for your time. I think I'm out of time here. Is that not true?
Yes,
thank
that's
you,
the end of the time for you. Thank you very much. All right, next up we have Chaley Hilkema and George Hilkema, followed by Scott Babcock. Chaley, can you hear me? Please go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, commissioners. I'm a Newport Harbor mooring permit holder. The city of Newport Beach is threatening only mooring permit holders with a 300 to 500% increase in fees and an end to permit transferability. Though it is duty bound by the public trust doctrine's requirement of equitable administration to manage trust resources fairly, it doesn't. And this can be seen in its harbor policies that benefit preferred classes of harbor users. Mooring permit holders are treated like unwelcome second-class boaters, and compared to like users, we've been overcharged and more highly regulated for decades. Those with residential pier permits pay nothing to store their boats at their private docks. They pay a fraction of the fees we pay for much larger tidelands footprints. They enjoy exclusive use rights, and the city allows them to rent dock space for private gain, which can amount to many thousands of dollars of profit per year. And the residential pier permits can be transferred to new owners, adding more than $1 million of value to their multi-million-dollar harborfront homes. Permits are required for private use of the public tidelands. They have value, and when they're transferred, there can be private financial gain. The city says people shouldn't profit off of the public tidelands, but it's been singularly focused on making a case against mooring transferability. Past and present policymakers and staff have resorted to making dishonest claims that we're selling the tidelands and that we make huge profits when we transfer our permits, but the facts are that we don't sell the tidelands and most only recoup some of what they paid. Though the city wants us to believe that they're trying to protect the public interests, it intends to end only mooring permit transferability while it illogically, but not surprisingly, allows residential pier permit transfer process that guarantees homeowners far greater private profits. If the city is not censured for its inconsistent treatment and unequal regulation of like users, it will raise our fees excessively and end our mooring permit transferability, which will surely end harbor access for boaters with moderate means. Thank you for your good work. Please don't allow the city to go forward with its intentions. Thank you.
Mr. Hilkema, you can please go ahead.
My name is George Hilkema. I'm 90 years old and I've had my sailboat on a mooring in Newport Harbor for 40 years. I've been a board member of the Newport Mooring Association for 35 years, and I've spoken to this commission many times about the unfair mooring-related policies enacted and enforced by the city of Newport Beach. Now the city wants to raise our mooring fees 300 to 500% and end our mooring permit transferability again. I've spent countless hours addressing these same issues with competent volunteer members of the NMA and on committees with well-connected city policymakers, including Duffy Duffield and Brad Avery, both past harbor commissioners, council members, and mayors, and we resolved the user fees and transferability concerns. Now it appears that the current policymakers think that the past policymakers got it wrong. Recreational boating is a protected use under the common law doctrine of the public trust. The California Coastal Act states, quote, increased recreational boating use of the coastal waters shall be encouraged, and it calls for the protection of recreational boating harbor space, which is not to be reduced as long as there is a demand for those facilities. Boaters need a place to store their boats when they're not in use, but the city's plan will make these places unaffordable for most, even though its own local coastal program states that it will, quote, continue to provide shore moorings and offshore moorings as an important source of low-cost public access to the water and harbor. The city of Newport Beach has mismanaged the tidelands for decades, and its recent efforts to change long-established harbor policy by ending mooring permit transferability is not only indefensible, it's discriminatory. Please support fair tidelands policy so mooring permit holders can enjoy their boats rather than be financially burdened by them. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was perfect, honey. Good job. Oh. Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
That was
All right. Next up, we're looking for Scott Babcock. Mr. Babcock, we're not seeing you in Zoom. So if you can raise your hand if you're in the webinar, or if you're on your phone, then you can dial *9 and we'll circle back to you. In the meantime, we're going to move on to Jennifer Savage, followed by Leslie Honda. Ms. Savage, please go ahead. Give us just 1 sec.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Chair Harmon, Commissioners. Jennifer Savage, Surfrider Foundation. I wanted to bring your attention to a story published in the Washington Post last week by meteorologist Ben Knoll, in case you missed it. In short, a massive marine heat wave in the Pacific is expected to impact global weather. Formed by two heat waves, it may cause a super typhoon and a heat dome, and as a result, scientists are warning a potential sea level rise and extreme weather in California. This is linked to El Nino and climate change. And while we can't predict exactly what will happen in California, we do know that the very warm Pacific seas will drive sea levels, or could drive sea levels, 6 inches to 2 feet higher along our coast. So winds from storms this fall and winter will elevate the sea potentially even more, resulting in up to 2 to 3 feet or more along the California coast. And I really want to emphasize what climate scientist Daniel Swain said, and why I'm bringing this to your attention. This is the time for local governments, for county governments, and for the state government to start to prepare for a significant likelihood of much higher than average sea levels, more destructive coastal flooding, and potentially record-breaking coastal water levels during winter storm events and king tides. I flag this because too often we see new seawalls or riprap justified as appropriate response to what's deemed an emergency. But we've been experiencing the emergency of rising sea increasing storms for years. These are not unexpected one-offs, and we cannot continue issuing emergency permits for new armoring when the problem is long known and known in advance. We urge commissioners and staff to keep this in mind in the coming months if and when a parade of emergency permitting requests come before you. The public speech should not be the price paid for local jurisdictions' failure to plan now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Leslie Honda. Ms. Honda, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes. Please go ahead.
Great. Honorable Commissioners and the public, my name is Leslie Honda, lead ornithologist at the San Diego Bird Alliance. I support the comments made by Seal Society and Wildlife Jewels today. I'm here to officially state that the contrary to spokesperson City of San Diego Benny Cartwright's statements, the environmental group strongly object to the City of San Diego's proposal to spray biocac on the bluffs, as two chemical ingredients, BIT and SLES, according to the material safety data sheets, are heavily toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. No chemicals should be sprayed in this area, as it will harm sensitive wildlife and and habitats, and to do this directly over a globally recognized green IUCN marine protected area is negligent. For the past 5 years, I've provided comments at the California Coastal Commission meetings due to the City of San Diego's negligence towards protecting the wildlife from management decisions that have no scientific basis. Frankly, I'm tired of having to show up to these meetings to complain, and I'm sure all of you are sick of hearing about the numerous management issues at La Jolla that harm the wildlife and destroy the habitat. This matrix summarizes the management issues in La Jolla impacting wildlife. For many decades, we've been piecemealing solutions to properly address these issues when the City of San Diego should have created a science-based natural resource management plan long ago to identify the natural resources. This plan would identify where the bird of conservation concern, western gull, nests, a breeding bird the city consistently mismanages even though the species has been nesting in the area since the 1930s. The wildlife advocacy groups are grateful to the rangers that have been working closely with us. However, we are setting them up for failure as it's not the rangers' jobs to address these issues without a coherent plan. We urge the Coastal Commission to mandate the City of San Diego to prioritize creating a natural resource management plan for La Jolla to help resolve these issues and protect wildlife. Thank you.
Thank you. We're looking for Morgan Plesenick. I believe that may be Morgan Hain. If that's you, Miss Plesenick, under the Morgan Hain name, please go ahead. Possibly. Oh, there she is. Yes, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, great. Thank you. Good morning. I did prepare a video to present.
Yes, give us just one moment. We'll pull that up for you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Morgan, and I'm a San Diego resident who frequents La Jolla 3 to 4 times a week. I run social media pages dedicated to pinniped education. Across my platforms, I reach over 8 million viewers each month. I educate about how to view wildlife responsibly and the Marine Mammal Protection Act. Today, I want to advocate not only for locals and tourists to respect our wildlife, but for our city representatives to do the same. Today, I'm submitting videos that show city lifeguards attempting to scare sea lions away from the stairs in full view of tourists. I understand they have a responsibility to keep both stairways open. However, when public safety officers are seen stomping, clapping, or intentionally scaring sea lions, they unintentionally teach the visitors to do the same. These are the very same actions I witness tourists do each week. Those actions are not only harassing protected marine mammals, but also increasing the risk that someone gets hurt. That is the opposite of what a public safety officer should be modeling. There has to be better wildlife-sensitive ways to keep this access open. This is especially concerning because La Jolla Cove is already experiencing significantly higher pup mortality than the protected areas nearby. I respectfully ask the Coastal Commission to work with the City of San Diego to develop standardized wildlife handling training for lifeguards and increase ranger presence during the busy summer months when human-wildlife conflicts are at their highest. Our public officials should be setting the example for respectful wildlife viewing, not teaching people how to harass them. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you, Commission. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Ozzie Sharif, followed by Elena Tillman, Nathan Brenner, and Robin Davidhoff. Mr. Sharif, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hello, good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Dr. Ozzie Sharif, Executive Director of Wildlife Jewels. Since my last comments before the Commission, Wildlife Jewels has continued regular field monitoring through our EYES program at La Jolla Cove, Point La Jolla, and Children's Pool, documenting wildlife activity, human disturbance, injuries, and habitat conditions. We appreciate the increased presence of city rangers, but significant wildlife management challenges remain. At La Jolla Cove, we continue to document after-hours harassment of sea lions, including disturbances that separate mothers and pups and interfere with injured sea lions attempting to come ashore for a chance to be rescued. At Children's Pool, we continue to document disturbance of federally protected nesting western gulls and their chicks, as well as ongoing harassment of harbor seals, including injured pups attending to rest or come ashore for rescue. Wildlife Jewels Seabird Rescue Crew also continues to document injured, entangled, and distressed seabirds along the La Jolla shoreline. California seabirds are already facing an ongoing starvation crisis, leaving birds more vulnerable to injury, entanglement, disturbance, and reduced breeding success. For these reasons, Wildlife Jewels joins the San Diego Bird Alliance and the Seal Society in urging the Commission to oppose the city's proposed biocat spraying. Introducing chemicals into nesting, roosting, and pupping habitat is not a precautionary, science-based approach. We also respectfully ask the Commission to urge the City of San Diego to develop a comprehensive, science-based natural resource management plan for the La Jolla coastline, with clear proactive measures to protect this sensitive coastal ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Elena Tillman, Nathan Brenner, and Robin Davidhoff. Ms. Tillman, please go ahead. Ms. Tillman, if you can hear me, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi there. Thank you for that. I just wasn't promoted to panelist yet. Thank you so much. This is a video that I am respectfully requesting that you play. Thank you, commissioners.
Control the pinnipeds at all times. They are wild animals. You are in a marine preserve. This is not a zoo. Maintain your distance for your safety and the safety of the animal.
They're not paying attention.
Again, on the east side. Jam in the green. Yes, you. Everybody else is over with you. Spending all the back this way.
Sierra Club Seal Society would like to thank park rangers for managing very large crowds from both staircases. Unfortunately, there's still work left to be done. The following scenes occurred before rangers arrived or at nighttime. Unfortunately here, this can lead to pup demise secondary to maternal abandonment. This man was told that the beach was open by a lifeguard and did not heed warnings from a docent asking him to please stay away from the pups. Unfortunately, he walked right through them. Despite our goal of 0 human-related pup deaths in the Cove this year, we have already lost 9. That represents 40% of the pups living in the Cove. In brighter news, you may have heard about the very rare occurrence of twins or mom adopting a second pup. We aren't entirely sure which, but we want to highlight the privilege that it is to share a space with these animals. This footage was taken by volunteer docents and some of it by local photographers that really highlights how important it is that we continue to give them the respect and space that they deserve. On behalf of Sierra Club Seal Society, thank you.
Thank you much. And we'll move on to Nathan Brenner and Robin Davidoff, followed by Carol Archibald. Nathan, please go ahead.
Good morning, commissioners. We have a presentation. If you'll put up our first slide, please. And for the next slide, I'm Nathan Brenner with the Sierra Club Seal Society, here to present on the current management of the La Jolla Cove and protection of La Jolla's sea lion moms and pups. Sierra Club Seal Society's goal is to share the shore by balancing public access with protections for newborn sea lion pups. In June 2026, the City of San Diego and the Sierra Club Seal Society agreed to a management protocol for the La Jolla Cove. Rangers are staffed at the La Jolla Cove and make announcements asking visitors to view sea lions from at least 20 feet. Rangers agreed to redirect visitors to the eastern staircase beach access when sea lions are on or below the western stairs. Rangers agreed to place cones and tape around sea lion pups on the beach. Rangers agreed to deploy on the beach to better manage the crowds, increase their presence, and to gain visitor cooperation. Rangers also agreed to place A-frame signs on the beach to provide a visual cue to stay back. Next slide, please. This photo shows the La Jolla Cove Beach and the Western Stairs. This recent photo shows 14 pups at the Western Cove Beach circled in red. Obviously, there are usually many, many more visitors down on the beach. Orange cones are placed on the stairs as a visual cue for visitors to stay back. To protect these pups and manage crowds, here is what's working and has been effective. Staffing. Rangers are staffed at the cove and making regular announcements to manage the crowds and keep people at a safe distance from sea lions. Stairs. When rangers are present, they redirect crowds away from the western stairs when sea lions are on or below them and place cones on the stairs to ensure public safety. Viewing. When rangers are present, they often urge the public to stay on the upper levels to view the sea lions and redirect them to use the eastern staircase for beach access. I will now turn the presentation over to Sierra Club Seal Society Chairperson, Robin Davidoff.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, next slide, please. I'm Robin Davidoff, Sierra Club Seal Society Chair. We believe additional action is needed to fully implement the agreed-to pupping protocol. We need cones and tape on the La Jolla Cove Beach around the pups. These visual cues help visitors determine where they should stand, protecting both the public and the vulnerable pups. We need rangers to have a regular presence on the beach. Their visibility makes a significant difference, not only by providing guidance and education to the visitors, but also by encouraging safe behavior before situations become problems. We also need A-frame signs placed on the beach rather than on the stairs. Clear signs with viewing guidelines and do not touch messages prevent unsafe interactions. These actions balance public access and protection of marine life. Next slide, please. A major concern is what happens outside of ranger hours, which are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pupping and mating season coincide with our busiest tourist season, which means visitors are present early in the morning and late into the evening. While lifeguards are often staffed, they have been told not to intervene, even when visitors get dangerously close to the sea lions or actively harass them. This is especially important during the mating season in late July and August, when territorial bulls may suddenly charge at one another, sometimes running directly through a crowded beach. Next slide, please. Our requests are simple and straightforward. We're asking for the rangers to have a presence on the beach, for regular use of cones and tape around the pups, and for A-frame signs to be placed on the beach. We ask the city to establish a clear protocol for hours when rangers are not present, including asking lifeguards to intervene when visitors are behaving unsafely or harassing sea lions. Finally, we encourage the city to prioritize the installation of a webcam, which can provide public education and allow people to observe the sea lions without disturbing them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to Carol Archibald, followed by John Dow and Jamie Deluck. All right, Ms. Archibald, you should be able to go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Can you put up my presentation, please? So I am speaking on spraying chemicals on La Jolla bluffs to reduce the odor on behalf of the Bird Alliance and on the Sierra Club Seal Society. There's a photo here that shows where the area on the bluffs are sprayed and the birds who are high conservation priority nest, and the Model State Marine Reserve, a marine protected area is located directly below. You can see it. The city sprayed chemicals in the past on the bluffs north of the cove without identifying environmental factors or conditions that factor into the smell. Sorry. The factor into the smell or were based on scientifically measurable parameters. As marine wildlife forage in the ocean, chemicals can transfer from the treatment area into the MPA by fur, feathers, feet, and flippers. Mucosal membranes of wildlife are vulnerable to the concentration of chemicals. Eggs are porous and absorb chemicals, which can transfer by feet and feathers of breeding birds when adults sit on eggs. Bronze cormorant and western gull chicks are vulnerable for 8 weeks and cannot avoid spraying or rinsing off in the water. Adult seabirds are vulnerable to exposure to chemicals through eyes, facial skin, orifices, and ingestion by preening feathers. Marine mammal pups are vulnerable to ingestion of chemicals when nursing, and exposure may be detrimental during development. Surfactant, sodium lauryl ether sulfate, is added to biotac to create the foaming action that increases the dwell time on the bluffs and reduces running. Contamination with surfactant causes the surface tension of seawater to drop below normal. Water fails to form droplets and penetrates the feather lattice structure of a bird's plumage, and it becomes waterlogged. There is a safety data
Thank you,
sheet
ma'am.
that say very toxic to aquatic life.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Archibald. We're going to move on to John Dow, Jamie DeLuck, and then Susan Kirks. Mr. Dow, please go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Dow with Save Our Beaches, San Clemente. I sent all of you an email regarding OCTA's updated coastal rail resiliency study, and I hope you will read it. The central point is simple. OCTA is again advancing a flawed plan that dresses up hard armoring as coastal resiliency. Riprap, seawalls, and revetments do not create resilience. They temporarily defend the rail bed by sacrificing public beaches, including one of California's most treasured. OCTA's Area 4 plan put San Clemente State Beach, enjoyed by families, surfers, campers, and visitors, on a path towards permanent armoring and inevitable beach loss. OCTA's own materials acknowledge the real problem: dry beach loss and narrowing beaches, yet they propose cosmetic, one-time sand placement in front of a permanent structure that will only worsen the very erosion the plan is supposed to solve. They call it nourishment, but it is temporary cover for permanent rock. Hard armoring does not restore the beach, solve groundwater-driven bluff failure, or prevent water from penetrating the bluff toe. It accelerates erosion and coastal squeeze, destroying lateral access, recreation, surfing resources, and public trust beaches. OCTA also routinely allows foreseeable risks to become emergencies, then uses emergency permits to justify more armoring. Their playbook is clear: defer sand, delay solutions, watch the beach narrow, and then claim rock is the only alternative. With the current El Nino conditions, every month without sand makes the next emergency more likely. I respectfully ask the Commission to stop rewarding this delay. Deny future emergency permits for shoreline armoring where the risks were foreseeable or caused by OCTA's inaction. For pending permits, require immediate, continuous sand replenishment with enforceable volumes, deadlines, monitoring, and recurring placement obligations. The beach is not an obstacle to rail resiliency. It is the resiliency. It is also the public resource the Coastal Act requires this Commission to protect. Please do not allow OCTA to destroy that resource under the false label of resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dow. All right, we're moving on to Jamie DeLuck, followed by Susan Kirks, and then Terry Walsh. Jamie, please go ahead.
Thank you. I have some slides if you don't mind pulling them up, please.
One moment.
All right, so good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jamie Leduc. I am Surfriders Blue Water Task Force Manager, and I'm here to tell you about our Clean Water Initiative and new report. Next slide. Our goal is to protect water quality and reduce pollution so it's safe to surf, swim, and play at the beach and in coastal waters. Next slide. The way we do this is through our Blue Water Task Force and ocean-friendly garden programs, local, federal, and state campaigns, and when necessary, through legal action. Next slide. Our National Blue Water Task Force provides critical water quality information to protect public health at the beach. Our Surfrider chapters use this volunteer water testing program to raise awareness of local pollution problems and to bring together communities to implement solutions. Next slide. You can see, for example, all the places our Ventura County chapter test here, and you can look up all the other locations at bwtf.surfrider.org. Next slide. We recently released our annual Clean Water Report, which analyzes all the data our volunteers collected throughout the year, and in it we highlighted 2 case studies from California. Next slide. One was at Linda Mar in Pacifica, where 72% of our tests failed to meet water quality health standards. Next slide. This year, because of a new source tracking study, we had even more insight as to why, which is really important as we push agencies and officials towards solutions. Next slide, please. San Luis Creek at Avila Beach and San Luis Obispo was another highly polluted area. Next slide. One of the ways we help people improve local water quality is through our Ocean Friendly Gardens, which is Surfrider's sustainable landscaping and education program. It advocates for beautiful nature-based solutions to reduce polluted runoff and support resilient coasts. This slide shows an ocean-friendly garden in Ventura, and you can check out where all the others are on Surfrider's website. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. Nationally, we have 70 ocean-friendly gardens covering 42 acres and filtering so far nearly 29 million gallons of runoff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to Susan Kirks, followed by Terry Walsh, and then Cassandra Cunningham. Susan Kirks, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Harmon, Vice Chair Hart, Commissioners, and staff. I'm Susan Kirks, and I'm speaking today in reference to one of your items yesterday, the Federal Consistency Report and the Deputy Director's Report. I had submitted a request to speak and had raised my hand, but apparently I'm not sure what happened. The project I was interested in asking questions about wasn't mentioned in the report, and the staff indicated there were no comments. So as I said, I'm not sure what happened, but today I'd like to bring your attention to a project in that report that wasn't mentioned but still remained in the report as far as I can tell. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposes a project at the southeast Farallon Island. It's described as a Phase 1 of a transition plan, repairs and demolition of a water structure, reinstallation of some water tanks. My questions were similar to a written comment that was submitted by California Sierra Club Coastal Committee, and I didn't see their comment posted either, so I wasn't sure what happened there. But briefly, my questions are, what is this transition plan? What is a transition plan from and a transition plan to? The equipment that's planned to be used for demolishing a water structure includes jackhammers, which produce high levels of noise and ground vibration. What are the methods used to manage that ground vibration and noise impact level? Who will do the assessment? Who will monitor it? How will it be addressed? What is meant by quote unquote careful hazing? And what is encompassed in an incidental harassment permit that the service plans to? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Terry Walsh, followed by Cassandra Cunningham, and then we have Eric Flesher. Terry Walsh, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Terry Walsh. I am the president of the Coastal Corridor Alliance, and I've been talking for the last...
No status.
Sorry. I'm sorry, there's a little... Start my video. One more time. Here we go. Okay, sorry. My name is Terry Walsh. I'm president of the Coastal Corridor Alliance, and I've talked for the last couple of months about Randall Preserve focusing on 11 acres on the mesa. Now, these 11 acres despite being in the coastal zone, are actually not part of Randall Preserve. They're under different ownership. They're owned by the local school district, the Newport Mesa Unified School District. Next slide, please. Now, the school district has declared these 11 acres to be surplus property, and they're in the very early preliminary stages of a proposal to build several multi-million-dollar Ocean View Newport Beach homes. Next slide, please. Now, the school district purchased these 11 acres back in 1965, and as late as 1979 and 1980, they remained largely undeveloped. However, starting in the mid-90s, next slide, the school district used most of this property as a storage yard. Next slide, please. Here it is in 2007. Now it continues to this day, and it is the opinion of our organization that were it not for this storage yard activity, there'd be extensive ESHA on these 11 acres. And we believe this primarily because, next slide, immediately on the other side of the fence, on the Randall Preserve fence side, it's nothing but ESHA. This is a 2016 ESHA map prepared by your staff for when the then owner of Banyan Ranch was trying to build a large development. And also, if you look at old historic aerial photographs of the school district property before they started the storage yard, it looks very similar to Randall Preserve. The second thing is our opinion that this is unpermitted development. We made a Public Records Act request to the school district and found no evidence that they ever applied for, much less obtained a coastal development permit. Next slide, please. Commissioners, I ask, I beg, I plead to please direct your staff into looking into the question of whether there is a coastal development permit for this storage yard activity. It's really important, and I thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Moving on to Cassandra Cunningham. Ms. Cunningham, please go ahead.
Hello. My video was disabled, but it doesn't matter. Should I start?
Should be able to enable it now.
There we go.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra Cunningham. I am a local educator in Ventura County, and I also work on Santa Cruz Island in Channel Islands National Park. I'm here to vehemently oppose any offshore drilling that is being proposed by the federal government in this area. The Santa Barbara Channel is extremely biodiverse. It is designated as a whale heritage site. There is a ton of whale migration as well as bird migration, bird nesting. There are healthy kelp forests off of the islands and off of the coast, which is becoming more and more rare in Southern California. Any oil drilling puts all of that at risk. I strongly suggest that everybody come up to this area of the coast where this meeting is being held right now. It's beautiful. I grew up in San Diego and I love it down there. And also it is a lot more developed than it is up here. And we don't have these islands. And I think all areas of the coast should be protected, but there is a history of these oil drilling practices causing extreme damage. And the federal government is trying to reopen those without doing any sort of mitigation or fixing any pipes or doing anything like that. And there is a big risk here. I'm an educator. I work with children every day. I really, really want those kids to be able to enjoy the ocean and the coast just as much as I have throughout my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. We were able to find Eric Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher. He went already. Did he go? No, he. Mr. Fletcher, please go ahead.
I have a presentation. Perfect. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Eric Fletcher, and I'm here to provide an update to my public comment last month opposing the permit application to resume the La Jolla Bluff spraying program. Next slide, please. Since we last spoke, I've learned some staggering facts. The city's internal logs are on this slide, and they show despite a highly publicized policy halt announced on May 1st, 2017, they secretly executed 120 spray applications between 2017 and 2023, with the first spray occurring just 3 days after the announcement. In an email, the city administration confirmed that they failed to obtain a CDP, a waste discharge waiver, or a letter of authorization from Novo Fisheries for any of these sprays. The fact that the city is now filing an application for a permit is a clear retroactive admission that a CDP was required all along and is proof that these applications are all violations of Section 30600. As 112 of these applications were executed during critical nesting and pupping seasons, they are all violations of Section 30240. Next slide. I've learned that sprays may be what's damaging our giant kelp. These surfactants can dissolve the protective mucilage layer and prevent microscopic spore reef attachment. I've shared this data with scientists at SIO and UCSD who confirmed that this unknown variable was not considered in their research. They noted the geographic correlation matching the canopy collapse localized to La Jolla's northern beds and intend to study this data further. On June 24th, I recorded video of walkway pressure washing where a crew allowed untreated wastewater to flow directly into storm drains, dumping a toxic foam plume into the MPA. These actions create a severe barrier to public coastal access. By allowing private commercial interests to degrade our marine ecosystem, the city is actively diminishing the integrity of our public waters, limiting the community's ability to utilize these state resources. Next slide, please. I respectfully ask that the Commission issue an immediate enforcement injunction on all spraying and walkway washes and deny the outstanding permit application. Mandate the city create a science-based natural resources management plan as required by law, initiate formal enforcement action and assess civil penalties for the documented violations, and route any remediation funds directly back into environmental protection, improvement, and research here within the law. I have compiled the evidence and invite the Enforcement Division to contact me so I can share these files with your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. There were two people we were unable to find in the webinar, Scott Babcock and James Hudnall. Scott Babcock or James Hudnall, if you can hear me, please raise your hand. And seeing no one, no more speakers, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you to the public for your testimony. Before I turn to the commission, I will turn to Dr. Huckelbridge. I think there was a member of the public you were going to give a brief response to.
I just wanted to quickly, yes, thank you, Chair. Wanted to quickly respond to Susan Kirks, who made a comment about signing up yesterday and then wasn't called. And I just want to acknowledge that's exactly what happened. We discovered the error. We reached out to her yesterday. And let her know that we will be re-reporting the item that she was interested in next month, so she will have an additional opportunity to provide comments, and then we can respond in real time. So our apologies to Ms. Kirks. It was definitely a mistake on our part.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, Commissioner Kelly.
Through the chair, I just had a question about the Newport School District item with the storage yard in that area. Do we have any information about whether or not they have a permit for the storage yard, or is that something you could report on at a future meeting?
So we have been meeting with Mr. Welsh about the issues that he raised at the Newport Mesa Unified School District property, and we are looking into those issues that he has raised, but I don't have any more information at this point.
Great. I think just if you could share back with us once you've been able to ascertain what's going on there, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Thank you. Just have a question maybe for staff, and I really want to mention the folks talking about La Jolla Bluffs and the biocax spraying. My understanding is that the regional board in San Diego some years ago mentioned that this would be an activity that they would need a permit for, but then more recently kind of turned around and said, well, we reviewed some information from the city and we concluded it's not something we need to regulate, which actually pretty much surprised me. But sounds like now the city is applying for a CDP for this activity. At least that's what some of the folks are saying. One, I just want to ask if that's the case, and then, if they have been spraying without a CDP, if these are possible violations that need to be remedied. So thank you.
So yes, thank you. Our understanding is that the city is processing a permit it's a city CDP right now. They have an LCP, so the permit is obviously under their jurisdiction. My understanding is that permit is appealable to us, so it's possible that'll come in front of this commission or not. And we are looking into this idea that there's unpermitted development from before. We don't have any comments on that. It's just something that we've heard recently and are going to look into.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Hart.
No, I had the same question, so thank you.
Sorry. Commissioner Preciado.
I just wanted to comment on the city of San Diego and their opportunity to continue to work with everyone interested in La Jolla Cove and the surrounding areas related to the seals. I just want to note 50 full-time positions, excuse me, 52 full-time positions were eliminated in this recent budget process from the Parks and Recreation Department. That includes the rangers. And I'm just wondering if, given the challenges faced by the city of San Diego, if more extraordinary measures need to be considered. With all due respect to all those who enjoy going, it smells a little bit over there. And so, but I appreciate that people love going there and enjoy watching and seeing the seals. But I'm wondering if we need to consider, in light of challenges they're facing, that maybe during the pupping season there should not be human interaction in that part of the beach. And it may be very controversial, but I don't see any other way. I don't know that the docents, the rangers who have authority to fine people from $500 up to $5,000, but how can they be there 24 hours a day given the pressures that that department is facing in the rest of the city? So I'm just interested in seeing, this is one of those issues that doesn't go away, probably won't go away for a while. But it is, it just seems that a different approach may be needed, given that it's just difficult to manage a natural environment that has fauna, the species there that need to survive, and the extraordinary pressure of visitors and the residents of La Jolla trying to enter that area. So I just wanted to comment and see if some pilot can be imagined for the upcoming seasons where we don't have human interaction in that part of the beach, and see if that helps improve the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lowenberg.
I had the same concerns about San Diego. I didn't realize that they laid off 50 people. They're going in the wrong direction, which is unfortunate. Do we have any recourse? Do we have any jurisdiction? I hate it when governmental agencies fight each other. I mean, I don't think we get anywhere. So us going after the city of San Diego, to me, is, not the right approach either. But is there anything we can do? Is there any, can we ask for volunteers to go out there? Can it be roped off? Can it, as Commissioner Preciado said, is there anything we can do? Because it just seems this is kind of a joke almost, that, I mean, that poor guy, that poor ranger was standing up there, no one was listening to him. I mean, it's really inexcusable almost, so, for what it's worth.
Through the chair, if I may. Yeah, no, I think I'll turn it over to Carl in a minute if there's more specifics. I think my take, I missed the presentation last month, but heard about it and understood that the city had presented along with the Seal Society. And I think we have worked very hard to avoid the situation where we're fighting. We're trying to find a joint solution with all the folks that are involved and care about the space. So my first inclination would be to lean into there. I mean, the nice thing is we have a plan, and they presented it to you all about how they're going to be managing this, that allows for some adjustment when things aren't working. And so I think our next step would be to go back and meet with everybody and say, well, what do we do now? If this isn't working and there's still these impacts, how do we, and I think the Steel Society presentation today had some ideas about what could, and I think we go back to the table and we start talking about those ideas. And I hear all the recommendations about, I think we've all talked about all of the possible things that could go on. My preference would be to keep it all in a joint collaborative atmosphere. And so I think we'll work very hard to do that and see what we can do. And again, I have to appreciate the turnaround from all parties involved. Like, we are now in a space where we are trying to collectively solve the problem, and that's good. So I want to lean into that and work with the city, work with the Seal Society to try to come up with adjustments to the plan and see what we can do. That said, as you saw, the city has budget problems, and they can't have staff out there all the time. And even when they do, people aren't listening. Like, there are some kind of really difficult problems that we may not be able to solve with collaboration. So we'll have to see, we'll have to see what we can what'll come out of that. But it's a real hard problem. And when you have people that aren't listening to rangers, it makes it really hard. What are we gonna do? Arrest those people? It's a challenging, which you could, but then that's a lot of resources for the city, right? Which is, it's a really hard problem to solve. So what I really like though is we're in the space with the city where we're collaboratively trying to fix it, and they see the problem, we see the problem, we're trying to figure out the best way to use the resources available to us and to them and to the Seal Society to fix it. So, or at least try. So you have our word that we're gonna continue working with them to try to address the problems that we're seeing in the videos. And that continue to see in the videos, but also acknowledge it's a lot better than it was.
Will you keep us apprised of
course,
ongoing in your report?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, any other comments, questions? Seeing none, let's continue. Mr. Schwing.
All right, that does take us to item 5, which is the administrative calendar for South Coast District items. Dock replacements in Newport Beach. Staff's not aware of any opposition to these permits, and we're asking whether 4 or more commissioners object to the issuance of these administrative items.
Thank you. Any ex partes? Any public comments?
There are none.
Okay. Do 4 or more commissioners object to either item in the administrative calendar? Seeing no objections, the commission concurs. Thank you.
Thank you. So that takes us to item 6. This is the consent calendar for 2 South Coast District items. There's no known opposition to these items. Applicants are in agreement with staff recommendations. So we're recommending the commission vote and approve the consent calendar.
Okay. Any ex partes? Any public comments?
2 available for questions only.
Great. Thank you. I guess actually I'll take a motion this time.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
It's a motion by Commissioner Kelly, a second by Commissioner Jackson, and we are all present. So any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the consent calendar is adopted. Now, Mr. Schwing, to those items removed from the regular calendar to consent, please.
Thank you. So there are 10 items that we're recommending be moved to consent that I mentioned earlier, starting with item 10A. This is the Novo Harbour Dock project in Fort Bragg. Item 14C, the CDP application from OC Parks for dock project in Dana Point Harbor. Item 16A, the City of Oceanside's LCP amendment on their de novo hearing appeals process. Item 16B, the City of Carlsbad's LCP amendment on the airport uses. Item 16D, the City of San Diego's LCP amendment on the Clairemont Community Plan LCP time extension. Item 16E, the City of San Diego's LCP amendment on their Community Enhancement Overlay Zone LCP time extension. Item 16F, the City of San Diego's LCP amendment for the AVA Pacific Beach project, again a time extension. Item 16G, City of San Diego's LCP amendment for their Preservation in Progress Package A amendment, time extension. And last item, 17A, this is application 6333A6 for the Surfsong project in Solana Beach. And I do just have a few comments to go over on some of these items. I want to note there is correspondence and an addendum on item 10A, the Louderback dock project in Novo Harbour, which just includes some minor clarifications to the staff report. There is correspondence and an addendum on item 16B, which is the City of Carlsbad's LCP amendment related to airport uses. Yesterday, staff received a letter of objection on behalf of the Carlsbad Jet Center, requesting the commission consider the matter solely within its jurisdiction. and is described in detail in the addendum. The proposed amendment, the implementation plan amendment, does not authorize any physical development or alter airport operations. It is limited to land use definitions and permit process clarifications within the city's certified IP with no effect on coastal resources. The Commission's action on the amendment does not express any opinion regarding current or future airport operations, uses, or expansion proposals. The airport is located entirely outside the coastal zone, and as such, the portions of the amendment related to the airport operations have already been approved by the City of Carlsbad. Therefore, the concerns expressed in the letter fall outside the scope of the action being taken today and do not affect the findings of consistency with the land use plan, so staff continues to recommend this matter be approved on the consent calendar. Correspondence was also received on items 16D and 16G, which are both LCP time extensions for amendments submitted by the City of San Diego. The comments we received focused on the content of the amendments and do not raise any objection to the time extensions. So there's no action that will be taken today on the substantive content of the amendment request. So again, we're continuing to recommend those items remain on consent. Last, on the Surfsong application, item 17A, there's a correspondence from Surfrider Foundation in support of the staff recommendation and an addendum to the staff report to indicate the applicant is now in agreement with the staff recommendation. So in regard to the remaining items, those applicants are also in agreement with staff recommendations. We're not aware of any opposition there, and staff recommends commission vote and approve this item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any ex partes? Commissioner Preciado.
Driving here on Tuesday night, I had an ex parte on item 16B, the Carlsbad LCP amendment. My phone call was with Tim Obitz with the Carlsbad Jet Center President and General Counsel, and Victor Avina, his representative. They raised issues with me about the challenges they see moving forward with their master plan and some of the grants that they've received from the federal government that may require some development on part of the airport, and as such they saw challenges with the Carlsbad LCP amendment. They thought the Coastal Commission maybe, since it's not in the coastal zone, they thought the Coastal Commission's actions were going to impact the airport and its expected federally supported uses. And so so that's what the communication was about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comments?
We have multiple available for questions. It looks like there's one individual who wanted to speak on 16D, but we're not seeing him in Zoom. It's Ian Grooms. So if there's Ian Grooms that can hear us, if you can raise your hand. Not seeing anyone, so no one else.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. Returning to the commission, comments, questions, or a motion? So motion by Commissioner Lowenberg, a second by Vice Chair Hart. Any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries. Okay, I'm going to suggest we take a brief 10-minute bio break, and then we will return with item 8. Be back at 10:35, please. Okay. Everyone, we're going to return to session. Everyone, shh. Thank you. Thanks very much. All right, now we are on to item 8. So we'll now consider agenda items 8.1 and 8.2, consent cease and desist order number CCC-26-CD-03, and consent administrative penalty number CCC-26-AP-02. The consent order and consent administrative penalties are both proposed to be issued to Costa del Sol Homeowners Association, also known as Bay Harbor, in Long Beach, Los Angeles County. Would the alleged violator and/or its representatives please come up and identify themselves for the record?
Push here to talk. My name is Charlotte Hart. I am here on behalf of the Board of Directors for Costa del Sol Bay Harbor, and joining me today, in case he is needed, is Eric Zahn of Tidal Influence, who can help discuss the habitat matters.
Great, thank you, Ms. Hart. To our staff, can you please identify what items are already part of the record?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The record consists of the contents of the staff report and supporting documents, the addendum that we posted yesterday online, which contain letters of support and documents from the City of Long Beach, the SCRRA Club, Gordana Kager, and Penny Aaliyah, as well as the public documents in the violation file and everything from today's hearing.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Hagee, how long will you need for your presentation?
30 minutes, please.
Great. There should not have been any ex parte communications, but do any commissioners have any communications to report? Okay, seeing none, I'm now going to review the rules for this proceeding. Our staff has asked for 30 minutes for its presentation, so I will give the alleged violator the same amount of time, and they may also request to reserve some of that time for their own rebuttal. After any presentation by the alleged violator, we will allow 3 minutes for any other party who'd like to speak as an interested member of the public, after which I will allow the alleged violator to use any reserved rebuttal time to respond to comments from interested persons. Our staff will then typically respond to the testimony and to any new evidence introduced. Anyone who speaks at this hearing may propose questions, either orally or in writing, that they would like commissioners to ask of any other party, but it isn't appropriate to suggest to be asked questions to yourself. Commissioners may, but are not required to ask the proposed questions. So with that, we're now gonna begin the public hearing, and I will turn it to Ms. Hagee for the staff presentation.
Thank you so much. We're ready for our presentation to go up. Thank you. In this photo, you can see a walkway and a park bench overlooking Alamitos Bay in Long Beach. This photo was taken from the city's Jack Nickel Park, looking towards a coastal walkway called the Bayfront Walkway, which was required to be constructed for the public by a commissioned CDP covering the construction of a large subdivision and residential development that we'll discuss in the presentation. Staff is pleased to announce that respondent, Bay Harbor HOA, has worked with staff to reach an amicable resolution of this case by entering into the proposed consent cease and desist order and consent administrative penalty, which will be collectively referred to as consent orders, for your consideration today. This matter involves the historic blocking of public access that was required by conditions of a commissioned CDP, including blocking greenbelt pathways and bayfront walkways that lead to and along Alamitos Bay. Staff worked together closely and collaboratively with respondent and greatly appreciates their cooperation and participation in crafting this creative resolution. It's an exciting settlement proposal because respondent has agreed not only to provide the required public access and enhance the access on the HOA property, but they have also agreed to fund and construct a number of major public amenities in a nearby public park that greatly needs them. Respondent has agreed to undertake a major native planting program to create coastal habitat there, as well as to construct or fund additional public amenities, including benches, drinking fountain and water bottle refill stations, interpretive signs, and a public restroom. Staff recommends that the Commission issue the proposed consent order to resolve the unpermitted development on and adjacent to property owned by a respondent. Today's presentation will be given by Headquarters Enforcement Attorney Rob Modelmog, and Assistant Chief Counsel Alex Helprin is also here to support. Rob?
Thanks. Good morning, Chair Harmon and members of the Commission. As just mentioned, this case involves public access violations within and along a large residential development in Long Beach called the Costa del Sol development. I will now begin by showing some maps of the area. Next slide, please. Alamitos Bay is located east of the Port of Long Beach and northwest of Huntington Beach, as you can see on this map of the region. This slide also really shows how urban this region is. The greater Los Angeles area is directly inland of the bay, and the bay is therefore an important coastal access resource for those from inland communities. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see an overview of this portion of the bay. Bay Harbor is located between Pacific Coast Highway and Jack Nickel Park. To the west is, in the water, is Marine Stadium, which was the site of the 1932 Olympic rowing competition and will be the site of the 2028 Olympic rowing races. The CDP required the permittee to record a public access easement through the development and along the bayfront, which is outlined in yellow, and the permittee was required to provide a 10-foot wide public pathway somewhere within the outlined area. The scale of the public access easement is very large and includes over 1,300 yards of required pathways. To the left of it in blue is an adjacent public access easement also required by the Commission in a separate CDP on a different property. Next slide, please. On this map, the yellow stars show the locations of some of respondents' Greenbelt Accessway violations. The yellow stars show the areas where respondent maintained lock gates and signs restricting public access to the CDP-required Greenbelt Accessways, which are within the yellow outlined area. Next slide, please. On this slide, the orange star at the very bottom shows where respondent maintained a closed gate at the CDP-required bayfront walkway, which obstructed public access there. Next slide, please. And the white star at the very top of this slide shows where respondent installed and maintained Bay Harbor signs at the entrance to the only public road leading to Jack Nickel Park, which unfortunately also made the public road appear to be private. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see plans submitted by the CDP applicant in 1976 for 198 housing units that would become Bay Harbor. The large project was proposed for 28 acres. The developer had worked closely with the city prior to submitting this CDP application, and the city had already required the developer to dedicate what would later become Jack Nickel Park as part of the project. Next slide, please. Here you can see the developer's proposed plans for what is now the Greenbelt Public Access Way. Because this project was proposed to be partially built on public tidelands, and because this area is between the closest public road and the sea, the Commission required that public access be protected and enhanced here. As shown on this slide, the Greenbelt Accessway was intended to allow the public to more easily reach the bay and the future city park. As you can also see, the large greenbelt stretches throughout the entire project site. Next slide, please. At the 1977 Commission hearing for this project, the Commission made clear how important public access is here. The Commission found that the Greenbelt Accessways would help to promote pedestrian and bike access to the bay and to the future park, and would therefore help to avoid the need for parking, so there would be more actual park space for the public to enjoy. Next slide, please. The Commission approved the CDP, and Special Condition 4 required a public access easement over the Greenbelt and across the bayfront. This condition is at the center of this case, as we will discuss. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see a quote from the recorded public access easement. In 1978, the developer incorporated the Costa del Sol Homeowners Association, now known as the Bay Harbor HOA. That same year, the State Coastal Conservancy accepted the easement. The recorded easement states that the successor of the grantor, in this case, respondent, was obligated to maintain and improve the 10-foot wide public pathway. Next slide, please. The developer did build the pathways that were required by the CDP, and we'll now look at some photos of them here. This image shows how parts of the paths were built relatively close to the houses. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see another image of the Greenbelt Accessways. This photo was taken near the fork in the paths where you can decide to walk towards the bayfront walkway or onto Jack Nickel Park. Next slide, please. In this image, you can get a better sense of the huge length of the public paths. This photo was taken near the center of the Greenbelt looking towards Jack Nickel Park, which is 200 yards away through the trees. While the developer constructed these accessways, and they were available to the residents, they were blocked from public use for years by the unpermitted gates. And now we're going to show a few photos as we walk through it. Next slide, please. In a few areas of the Greenbelt, you have to cross small roads that are parts of the HOA development, as you can see in this photo. Next slide, please. Here's another photo looking towards Jack Nickel Park, but which was taken much closer to it. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see the path as it curves around one of the pools right before you reach the park. The pathways provide the pedestrian access along the Greenbelt and also provide access to the park and bayfront walkway. Next slide, please. In this photo, you can see the bayfront walkway, which was also required by conditions of the CDP and the public access easement itself. Here, the public can enjoy looking at the water, the boats, and the wildlife. The bayfront walkway is over 400 yards long and connects Jack Nickel Park to another bayfront public access easement required in another CDP at an adjacent property, which then connects to a small park at the other end. Without these public paths and connections between public open space, these large housing developments would have otherwise blocked off all access to this area, and the scenic views, birdwatching, and strolling would have only been available to the private homeowners. In addition, the bayfront walkway also connects to the Greenbelt accessways that you just saw. As you may know, one of the Commission's goals is to connect coastal trails and public spaces together, which make them all more valuable to the public. Next slide, please. This image shows the unpermitted lock gate and signs restricting public access between the bayfront walkway and the Greenbelt accessways. While the developer may have initially installed the unpermitted lock gates and signs, respondent did maintain them over the years. Next slide, please. Here's another photo of an unpermitted lock gate, this one requiring an access code. This gate also blocked public access to the Greenbelt accessways. Next slide, please. This slide shows another one of the unpermitted lock gates and signs. The unpermitted development was located where Jack Nickel Park meets the Greenbelt accessways. Gates and hours of use were not authorized by the CDP or the easement. Next slide, please. This photo was taken from the park looking towards the bayfront walkway. The yellow circle shows where respondent maintained an unpermitted closed gate that obstructed public access to the bayfront walkway. So even if the public made it to the park, they would still be impeded from accessing the walkway. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see the unpermitted Bay Harbor signs that were posted at both sides of the public road that leads to Jack Nickel Park and the Greenbelt accessways. These unpermitted signs give the impression that the road is part of a private gated community. However, it is in fact a public road that leads to a public park. In addition, respondent subdivision is also not entirely private, as the large public access easement crosses directly through it. Next slide, please. Further, respondent also built tennis courts and pools that encroached partially into the required public pathways. In addition, parts of this pathway could not be expanded to the full 10 feet without moving this tennis court. In this case, it appeared that it was more valuable to have respondents spend their money on providing public amenities in the park than to have them move the tennis court by a foot or two, given that, as you can see, the path is wide enough for pedestrians and wheelchairs to use currently. Next slide, please. In addition, the CDP and public access easement both specified that the path is required not just for pedestrians, but also for cyclists. However, the entire path was built in a very winding pattern and therefore is not conducive for bikes, as you can see here. Next slide, please. We're now going to briefly discuss the history of the park. The history is important because, as you will hear, there was an original vision for this park that was never fully met. In this image from the 1990s, you can see that what is now Jack Nickel Park was still undeveloped and largely bare dirt at that time. The area was formerly used for oil industry logistics, and it needed a cleanup and a large amount of construction before it could be used as a park. Next slide, please. This slide shows another angle of the future park. On the right, you can see one of the legacy oil wells there, which is still there today. In 1994, the city obtained a CDP from the Commission to build a public park here that included public restrooms and ample public parking. However, the city encountered budget issues, and the city lost the funding for the park that same year. Next slide. In this image, you can see another photo of the future park, this one taken from across the channel. In 1997, the State Department of Boating and Waterways agreed to provide funding so that this park could finally be built. The city got most of the park as originally planned, but the proposed public restrooms were changed to be exclusively for people who rent boat slips there. Next slide, please. In 2007, Jack Nickel Park was finally opened to the public. In this photo looking towards Pacific Coast Highway, you can see that it includes lots of grass fields. Next slide, please. Here's another image of the park, this one looking towards Alamitos Bay. Many people enjoy the park by walking through it, fishing, watching the sunset, or walking their dogs there. Next slide, please. This photo shows the view of Alamitos Bay from the park. In the distance is Marine Stadium. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see another photo, this one looking back towards Pacific Coast Highway. On the right, you can see the boat slips that were funded by the Department of Boating and Waterways. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see a screenshot of an article about a new bike lane, which we'll discuss. After receiving complaints, Commission enforcement staff sent a notice of violation to respondent in 2020. We note that while the easement was properly recorded, respondent's HOA board members stated to Commission staff that they had been personally unaware of the existence of the easement until they received the notice. Commission staff then explained to respondent that the CDP also specifically required respondent to provide a bike path through the greenbelt, and respondent instead proposed to move the bike path onto the public road leading to the park. The city liked this idea and promptly built a protected bike lane. However, while this new bike lane is now very helpful to the public, as you can see in this photo, the city built it, not respondent. In addition, Commission staff remained concerned about the other violations, including the blocked access ways and locked gates. So the case was elevated to headquarters enforcement. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see that the unpermitted gates and signs have now been removed from the greenbelt. In the fall of 2024, Commission staff sent a notice of intent to commence cease and desist order and administrative penalty proceedings as required by our regulations, and respondent immediately removed the unpermitted gates and signs. Commission staff then began negotiating with respondent and worked efficiently to resolve this matter in a way that we believe greatly benefits the public, as we'll detail in a moment. Gates in any form create an impediment to public access, and especially in cases where the CDP and easement does not authorize them. Next slide, please. This slide shows a view of Alamitos Bay. These violations disproportionately impacted people who live in disadvantaged communities, including in inland areas of Long Beach. Respondents' HOA members were able to enjoy the bayfront walkway and the greenbelt access ways, and could therefore more easily access the bay and the park. However, for those who could not afford to live in the neighborhood or did not live nearby, it would be much more difficult to access this part of the coast. In addition, while the bayfront walkway and greenbelt accessway were fairly easily accessible for disabled persons, the sidewalk on the public road is not wheelchair accessible, and the sidewalk leading from PCH is somewhat steep. Next slide, please. This slide shows another view of the greenbelt. There are multiple bases to issue a cease and desist order here. The development is unpermitted, and it's also inconsistent with the CDP. Next slide, please. Here's another image of the greenbelt. There's a basis for issuance of an administrative penalty action for public access penalties because respondents' violations blocked public access and were not in compliance with the CDP or the public access easement. Next slide, please. There are 5 factors for calculating administrative penalties. For the first factor, this case involves large public access easements that have been blocked for decades. For the second factor, the past cannot be undone. However, public access can be greatly enhanced going forward, which weighs towards a moderate penalty. Third, public access is a sensitive resource across the state, which provides a lot of value to the public, including here. Fourth, the cost to the state of bringing the action was lower than average here, as respondent worked efficiently with staff. And fifth, with respect to the violator, respondent did not seek to economically profit from the violations, and while respondent did not immediately open the unpermitted gates after receiving the initial notice, respondent did remove them after receiving the notice of intent, which was extremely helpful. Respondent has also now agreed to a settlement that will greatly benefit the public, so this factor weighs towards a moderate penalty. Therefore, in total, we would say that the violations here would give rise to penalties in the high to moderate range under our regulations if we were bringing this to you as a unilateral order. However, here they've agreed to settle, and moreover to work with us to fashion an agreement that's of greater benefit to the public than merely complying with their permit, and of greater benefit than a monetary penalty would be as well. In the aggregate, we believe that the proposed settlement elements are worth at least $2.5 million in cost to the respondent and of greater value to the general public, and is of a measurable value for those who would use the new public amenities provided in the proposed order, which we'll now walk through briefly. Next slide, please. In this image, you can see the small park at the other end of the bayfront walkway. Respondent has now agreed to a proposed resolution with 3 main components: a public access component, a native planting component, and a public amenities component. Next slide, please. One of the most important things that respondent has agreed to do is immediately begin work to install over 24 public access signs all over the area. The sign in this photo was required by a recent CDP that authorized renovations of the boat slips adjacent to the bayfront walkway. The signs that respondent will install will likely look similar, but without the construction language. Next slide, please. On this image, you can see a fork in the public pathways. As you may have noticed, the greenbelt is very large and includes many paths, many trees, and a few buildings. However, the CDP did not specifically require any public access signs. Therefore, even though the greenbelt accessways have been open since the lock gates were removed in 2024, they're not getting as much use as they could be. Thus, we're excited that respondent has agreed to install many new public access signs in the greenbelt. This also helps inform the public on where the path is and where private property is located to avoid potential issues in the future. Next slide, please. In addition, respondent has agreed to ensure that the greenbelt accessways can accommodate wheelchairs. As you can see in this image of the sidewalk along the public road, street signs and other obstructions make that narrow sidewalk difficult to use with wheelchairs. Thus, we appreciate that respondent will ensure that persons with disabilities will not need to use the area that you see in this photo and can instead use the greenbelt accessway or bayfront walkway. Next slide, please. In this image, the yellow star shows one of the pedestrian entrances to the greenbelt accessways. The vehicular entrances have gates on them because there's no public access to the private interior roads of the subdivision, and at another vehicle gate, there's a gate guard. Therefore, respondent has agreed to implement a training program to ensure that any contractors do not inadvertently violate the consent orders. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see a map of important coastal native habitats in the area. Starting at the top and going clockwise, the Sims Pond Biological Reserve was required to be created and protected by Special Condition 2 of this CDP. In addition, the Los Cerritos wetlands on the right are a large and regionally important wildlife area and are not far from Jack Nickel Park. At the bottom left, there's a similar park built between residences in Alamitos Bay called Jack Dunster Marine Biological Reserve, which we'll discuss. As you can see on this image, Jack Nickel Park is right at the center of these native habitat areas, and so this presents a great opportunity to provide another habitat connection. Next slide, please. This photo shows Sims Pond, where conditions of the HOA's CDP required it to be protected and enhanced as mitigation for the subdivision project. Today it attracts many native birds and provides important freshwater wetland habitat. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see Jack Dunster Marine Reserve and Park, which is just across from the bayfront walkway. This park and reserve provides a great example of how a native coastal habitat park can exist in the midst of a relatively developed area. Next slide, please. Here you can see a map of the proposed native planting zone that's required by the proposed orders located within the currently landscaped areas of Jack Nickel Park. As you can see, there's plenty of room for respondent to provide a lot of important habitat here that native wildlife can enjoy and humans can enjoy as well. Next slide, please. In this photo, you can see a lot of drought-tolerant grasses, but because they are non-native, they're not providing good quality habitat for wildlife. Respondent has agreed to remove this non-native landscaping and replace it with native plants. However, we do also want to note that the palm trees in this picture may be providing bird nesting habitat, and respondent will not be removing any of the trees in this park, and therefore the palm trees you see here will be staying. Next slide, please. In addition, in several areas of the park, there are highly invasive Pride of Madeira plants, which you can see in front of the Legacy oil well. Respondent has agreed to remove these harmful plants and replace them with natives. Next slide, please. In this image, you can see the only shade tree in the entire park, which is a sycamore. Respondent has agreed to plant 21 native trees, which may not immediately provide as much shade as this tree does, but will help to provide important habitat and more shade for members of the public and wildlife. Next slide, please. Respondent has also agreed to install 7 interpretive signs in places like this in the park. These signs will help to educate the public about the importance of the coastal habitat that's being planted, as well as other issues like sea level rise. All of these signs will include a notation that acknowledges the role of the Commission in providing these public amenities. Next slide, please. Respondent has also agreed to provide a drinking fountain and water bottle refill station, likely in this general area. Next slide, please. Further, respondent has agreed to install 4 additional benches and an additional dog bag dispenser, likely in this area, This park is known for being a good place to bring your dog and to watch the sunset. And more benches and dog bag dispensers will help out the current users of the park. Next slide, please. In this image, you can see that the only restroom in the park is currently behind a locked gate and is only accessible for persons who rent boat slips. Respondent has agreed to construct or fund a public restroom here, which we're very excited about. Public restrooms are not the most glamorous public amenity, and so are often not the first project to attract funding. However, they make a real difference in ensuring that persons who don't live nearby can still enjoy a public area. In addition, we're also very excited that Respondent has agreed to fund 5 years of maintenance here. We often get asked by local governments and agencies if it's possible to fund maintenance, but again, people don't always get excited about funding maintenance, which is even less glamorous than the restroom itself. We are very appreciative that the HOA has agreed to fund all of this. I also want to note that the construction of this public restroom will finally complete the original vision of this park from 1994. Next slide, please. To conclude, here's another temporary sign required by the recent CDP for boat dock renovations, but which really is a sign of a brighter future ahead. In closing, I want to thank Respondent for working so hard with us to provide this agreement for the public. I want to particularly thank Charlotte Hart, the president of the HOA, who put in a lot of work here to bring this before you today. I also want to thank the City of Long Beach, who have coordinated closely with us and really helped to make this a reality. We recommend that the Commission approve the proposed consent cease and desist order and proposed consent administrative penalty as set forth in the staff report. The motions can be found on page 10 of the staff report. And now Lisa's going to conclude.
I just wanted to conclude with a couple of thoughts. This is yet another example of how we can fashion a creative resolution if we have a willing party willing to work to resolve the situation. It allows us to do things that we couldn't have legally unilaterally required and avoids all litigation for all parties. We were able to work out something here that we believe is the benefit of both the residents and the outside users who would benefit from the amenities. So we greatly appreciate the work of the HOA leadership in helping shape this, and that concludes our presentation, and we're available for any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Hart, it's to you. You and your team may address the commission. Thank you. Just turn that mic on. Thank you so much.
Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to talk today to this matter, which our community has been very concerned about. And I can tell you that now we are, as a community, happy with this resolution and grateful to staff for helping us to work together to find something that is really beneficial to the public. It is not, and it was no one's intention for this, so you know. But the resolution is super just productive, I think is a good word, because it will go on in perpetuity, and not all things that we do in our lives do that. So we are grateful for the opportunity and really grateful to our partners, which represented by Rob has made this process as good as it could be. So thank you, and we're available for questions.
Wonderful, thank you so much. I'll reserve 29 minutes for rebuttal in the event that becomes necessary. With that, thank you. We will now take public comment on this issue. Galen, to you.
All right. So we have Charlotte Hart, Eric Zahn, and then moving to Zoom, we're starting off with Jennifer Savage, followed by Anna Christensen, and then just the initials. It's for Sonoma Coffee. So Jennifer Savage, you've been promoted to a panelist. You should be able to go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Hello again, Commissioners. I'm Jennifer Savage, Surfrider Foundation, speaking in support of the staff recommendation. For more than 40 years, the public access has been blocked by locked gates, no trespassing signs, tennis courts and pools built into the easement, as well as pathways too narrow for the required bicycle access. This has kept the public from the coastal accessways connecting Marine Stadium, Jack Nickel Park, and the Los Cerritos wetlands. This is exactly the kind of prolonged access violation the coastal access enforcement provisions exist to remedy. We're pleased that staff negotiated a strong resolution rather than a cash penalty alone. that the HOA has agreed to an in-kind package valued at over $2.5 million, including 24 new access signs, ADA accessibility improvements, a 5-year native habitat restoration program linking 3 important coastal habitats, and those important new public restrooms with 5 years of maintenance funding. I heartily endorse the importance of public restrooms, and despite they're not always the sexiest project, but they are so important. This outcome restores real physical public access. It corrects decades of harm, including to environmental justice communities who deserve equal access to the shore, and signifies that permit conditions are not optional. I further encourage the HOA to reach out to Surfrider's Long Beach chapter regarding our ocean-friendly garden program to assist with the native habitat restoration program in hopes of fostering a positive relationship in this new and better chapter. We appreciate your enforcement team's dedication to creative, mutually agreeable solutions that improve public access and safety in these cases, and Surfrider urges the Commission to approve this consent order. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And just wanted to make a point that Marianne Crowne is available for questions. And then we're moving on to Anna Christensen. Ms. Christensen, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm joining the panelist I'm joining as a panelist representing the Los Cerritos Wetlands Task Force of Sierra Club, as well as Sierra Club's Coastal Committee, and we support this measure. We're sorry that the homeowners didn't know about it. It seems like an innocent mistake, and now we appreciate their willingness and their friendship with the community, and that's really special. It doesn't always happen that way. So we want to thank both enforcement and the homeowners. Regarding your response to our letter in the addendum, stating that because the palm trees are there, the birds all have nesting sites. Not all birds nest in palm trees. While certain kinds of palm trees can provide nesting if they're properly maintained for great blue herons, they will not work for other coastal birds, such as the black-crowned night herons who need shorter trees. So once again, we stick with our recommendations, which we did not necessarily expect to be part of this this resolution, but we hope will, with the cooperation of the homeowners and the planners, be followed, because they're very, very simple. They're very, very critical recommendations. You did not respond to our request that the coastal plan for the coastal zone rather than the tidelands plan be followed. So we simply ask that trees not be trimmed, the palm trees not be trimmed annually, as they will be eliminated then as nesting trees for the great blue herons. As far as the history and the signage, you gave a nice history of this issue. We would like to remind everyone who, of course, we say it all the time, so everybody here probably already knows that this is part of Pavugna. This is an ancient place, and that maybe deserves, we would like that to be mentioned in the history of this site. So thank you very much for everything. That's it for me.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Ann Cantrell, and then we're going to be looking for Sona Coffee. Ms. Cantrell, please go ahead.
Good morning, Ann Cantrell, Sierra Club Coastal Committee and the Los Cerritos Wetlands Task Force. Thank you to enforcement staff for finally requiring public access to Jack Nickel Park. I am a 93-year-old resident of Long Beach and have visited every other public park except this one. Since it's within a private community, I was unaware the public were allowed. I also wish to thank staff for responding to Sierra Club's suggestions regarding not removing existing palm trees and requiring tree plantings be the optimal size for ensuring success. Although staff is not requiring tree trimming, we request the city follow the Long Beach Coastal Zone tree trimming policy if trimming is done. As I now use a walker, I appreciate the ADA accommodations being required. We are still very concerned about the allowed use of herbicides in this park, which is adjacent to Alamitos Bay and the Los Cerritos wetlands. Please require weed pulling and mulching, weed management as an alternative to herbicides. I look forward to being able to visit this park soon. Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you so much. All right, we have, looks like a representative from Sona Coffee signed up, but we're not seeing anything associated with that in the webinar. So if there's, oh, looks like they raised their hand. All right, yeah, we've got them. All right, from Sona Coffee, please go ahead.
Morning, commissioners and staff. My name is Sona Coffee, and I'm calling in as a resident of the Bay Harbor community in Long Beach in support to the resolution of this issue. We moved to Bay Harbor 6 years ago, and as was mentioned, nothing was on record about the easement for this property. And when we contacted the city about the neighborhood, the only thing that came up was the existence of the oil drilling pump in the adjacent Jack Nickel Park. So as a resident and as a longtime Surfrider volunteer, a former sustainability commissioner for the city of Long Beach, and a sustainable policy professional, I really am looking forward to seeing a native habitat installed at Jack Nickel Park. To our knowledge, as was noted by the speakers, the HOA wasn't aware of the public access issue and didn't willfully block access for these last decades. It really is the strangest case, and we're appreciative of the commission staff and our HOA board president for moving forward to a resolution. Just as some context here, we have a community made up of so many people that want to give back to the city of Long Beach. We're first responders, public school teachers, retired individuals, and public servants like myself. We have people in our community that are mobility challenged, that use the pathways on the Greenbelt every day, including a neighbor who takes his wheelchair-bound adult son out to the community every day. Now, each of us is going to work together to find a way to pay for these improvements and make these improvements a reality in the community and in the park. Again, as a sustainability professional and a longtime volunteer with Surfrider, we are supportive of native habitats and especially seeing that restoration at Jack Nickel Park. I volunteered on many ocean-friendly gardens along the marina front, and the city of Long Beach has been a great partner in that effort as well. So again, thank you for your consideration and for your support.
Thank you very much. And then just for clarity, for Marianne Crowne, we just wanted to see if you were available for questions or whether or not you wanted to speak on the item. You've been promoted to panelist, so please go ahead.
Good morning. I'm available for questions. I do not have a presentation at this time.
Thank you very much. That is our last commenter. No more speakers.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will turn to you, Ms. Hart, to see if you want to make any responses with your remaining 29 minutes. You don't have to, but giving you the opportunity. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, staff, would you like to respond?
Yeah, we'll just take a few seconds to respond to some of the public comments. With regard to the tree trimming, nothing in the order requires tree trimming, and in fact, it doesn't particularly authorize it. And in fact, the orders require them to comply with all existing rules and regulations. And so there's no exemption in the order from the local coastal zone tree trimming. And in fact, the trees that would be trimmed are on a public area, not the area owned by the HOA, and they aren't planning on doing any trimming to the best of our knowledge. And then quickly, I just wanted to respond also to the question about herbicides. We agree that herbicides are a disfavored technique, and the orders say that they're only to be used if nothing else works, and we really do, and if they are to be used, they have to be minimal and they have to be approved. So we certainly share the concern about that, and we would like very much to avoid herbicide use, sorry. Do you want to add anything, Rob? Okay, thank you. We're happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I now will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for our deliberations. Are there any questions for staff or the alleged violator or comments Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to our speakers today. It's heartening to see what happens, the result of cooperation and collaboration. It avoids conflict and gets us to a consensus. So bravo to all the parties in what appears to be a favorable outcome. Just a couple questions for my edification. So if I'm driving down Highway 1, PCH, is there anything that indicates that there's a park from Highway 1? So I can see the park, and is that when I turn into the road where, because I saw the signs that had the Bay Harbor signs on the walls. Is that what I see as I'm driving by where I see the park?
No, that's near the access road off of Loynes Drive, which abuts PCH. But from PCH, from the bridge, you can actually, if you look out over the bay, you can see the park down there. And there is a sign, I believe, on the bridge as well, but it's just a little smaller.
And I guess what I'm getting at is, do I know, without knowing, that there's an access opportunity for me as I drive by with my kids wanting to stop for lunch?
The HOA is required to put up signs on the land that they own near the only road to the park. If you drove by, you would see it on PCH. I can't remember. The respondent might know better than me what signs are out there currently on PCH because they live in the area.
And maybe not. And so there's, assuming there's no sign on PCH, then there's the public road that enters into the complex where there are the walls on either side.
That's correct.
Okay.
And they're required to put up a very large sign right there that advertises the park and the public access easement.
Okay. So I see that. Goody, I can drive to the park. Then I get to the entranceway, which is where the gates are, and that's the private gate for the HOA. And first of all, bravo to, we know how difficult HOAs can be. So the fact that the HOA agreed to all of this is very commendable. So thank you for that. So you get to the private gate now, entrance and exit for the HOA, and then there's a pedestrian gate.
So there's no pedestrian gate, it's just open, and they're required to put up signs near the pedestrian entrance that are large and explain that the area is a public easement and public pathway, so that if anyone's walking by, they will see it and know that they can walk right on it.
Because that's only accessible walking by. I can't drive there, right?
Yeah. So the way it works is that there's no parking in the HOA itself, if that makes sense.
No, I understand. So on the other side of the trail is the public parking space.
Correct. In the park itself, there is public parking, and in the public park itself, respondent is required to put up signs advertising the existence of the public access easement so that people know, oh, I can walk over towards the HOA and walk through the easements, or next time I come, I can do that.
So if I'm biking or walking, since I can't really drive through the HOA, there'll be a sign at the Bay Harbor where the signs were on either side of the road. There'll be a sign that says public access point, and then when I turn into where the current gates are, there'll be a sign that says public access.
That's exactly correct.
Because, and the reason I bring that up is because when, if you're walking or driving by and you see a big brick wall with gates, that tells me. So I'm just trying to understand that access component to this.
But the vehicular access is on the public road, so I don't want to leave the impression that you can only walk. It's just that there's no vehicular access through the HOA itself, but you just go around it on the public road and park by the public park.
Right.
So
but on the
sorry, go ahead.
No, I appreciate that. But on the slides where it showed the Bay Harbor signs, that's the access point to the private entrance and the public walkway.
Well, so
right? Am I understanding that correctly?
No, so the slide, I can't remember which slide it is.
I think it was 43.
Yeah. So yeah, if you could bring that up, slide. Yeah. So that slide shows the entrance to the public road, which is why and the public road leads to both the HOA with the access ways, but also to the park. And so the reason we were concerned about their HOA signs out there is because it makes it look private. They have already taken down the HOA signs there, and they are required to put up a big sign that says public park and public access easement.
Okay, so that's so I can or can't drive my car through there. I cannot, right?
You
There were
can.
two
It's a
separate
public
slides.
road.
It is a public road.
It's a public road, which is, again, the concern was that it's a public road that has been made to look private because of the signs. So that said the name of the community. So they've taken those off. And now it'll be very clear.
It's
Just to clarify, the road that's going past this from left to right is a public road. And that's the road you can drive on from Loynes all the way to the park. You can't drive through these gates.
Okay, that was my question.
But you don't need to get to the park. You just drive past them.
Okay, so my options are I drive past this private entrance, I park, or if I'm biking or walking, I'm on the public road, I see this, and there's a private entrance where the STAR is currently located.
The STAR
That's
is
the public
a public pedestrian path. Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, and they're required to put signs near it. This is not the only entrance. There's like 4, I believe.
You can go to slide 6, maybe.
Yeah, slide 6 is the overview map, which I think will be helpful. Yeah, it's confusing. There's a lot of things going on, and it's 28 acres. It's a really big property, frankly. But yeah, slide 6 has slide 6. So the white star at the top, at the very top, that's where the public road entrance is off of Loynes Drive. The big street on the right of this slide that goes north to south is PCH. And Loynes Drive goes east to west. But so right after, PCH does have a sign for Jack Nickel Park near the bridge, which is at the bottom right of this photo. The white star shows where they had the unpermitted Bay Harbor signs in front of the public road. As you can see, the public road leads to 2 things. It leads to the yellow star just below it, which is the entrance to the Greenbelt accessways. But it also, if you keep going down to the bottom, it leads to the park itself, which you can see at the bottom of this slide, where the green grass is. And so I hope this helps to explain the situation, but they're required to put public access signs really everywhere. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. That is very helpful. So which of those stars is located where the gates are? Or are they not?
So there's vehicle gates at the 2 top stars, the 2 top yellow stars. There's vehicle gates, but also pedestrian gates. Pedestrian entrances. There's no gates there. The 2.
And those are, I'm sorry, those are the HOA gates?
Yeah.
The 2 top yellow stars are the Homeowners Association gates.
Yeah, if you're an HOA member and you're driving to your house, you're gonna go in through the 2 top yellow star entrances. There's also though public pathway pedestrian entrances there for the public.
Both of those.
In the same areas, yeah. And then the bottom 2 yellow stars, there's no one's driving from anyone there, but there are pedestrian pathways there that are open to the public.
And my concern only was, if I'm walking or driving and I see a big brick wall with gates, I'm less inclined. Even if there's a small sign at the pedestrian gate, I probably wouldn't even notice that. So, but it sounds like that is being adequately addressed.
Yeah, we completely agree, and that's why we're requiring quite a lot of large signs, like the one on where the white star is required to be 9 square feet, so big. And we think also that as people drive by or walk by, they'll become familiar with this stuff as well.
And the signs have to be, they're to propose language to us, and we're going to approve it, and we can take these concerns into account when we're designing the language on the signs to make sure that the one at the white star indicates the various options to get to the park. I think that's a very good idea.
Great, thank you. And maybe we can talk to Long Beach and they can have a ribbon cutting or something to promote this great collaborative effort between the two parties. So thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Wilson.
I'm happy to make a motion if there's no more comments or questions. Okay, great. I just want to say that I love the conclusion of this. I also want to say that my family has a place that's next to a public park that was once not, and the sounds that come from a more public park are just the most joyful things. So I just want to say birthday parties and people having fun and doing those sorts of things that people do, especially interacting with folks that aren't necessarily from the neighborhood, coming together. And I just think that it's just going to bring joy and happiness to your neighborhood, and so I'm just happy to make this motion. I move that the commission issue consent cease and desist order number CCC-26-CD-03 to Costa del Sol Homeowners Association pursuant to the staff recommendation. I recommend a yes vote.
Second.
That's a motion by Commissioner Wilson, a second by Commissioner O'Malley. And before we vote to the motion, I also want to reiterate my appreciation for what a successful collaboration this was. It's all too rare that we come into these enforcement hearings and say that the outcome is not only representative of a specific monetary penalty, but will have positive impacts into the future in such a long-term way. So I really do want to highlight that and thank our staff for their work, and thank Ms. Hart, you and your HOA team. It's really special, and it's a really wonderful thing to be part of an effort that is just a win-win. So I couldn't let the vote happen without expressing my appreciation. With that, we have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, a second by I just promoted you, Commissioner O'Malley, a second by Commissioner O'Malley. Is there any objection to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries, and we'll move to the second motion, please.
Motion number 2, I move that the commission issue consent administrative penalty number CCC-26-AP-02 to the Costa del Sol Homeowners Association pursuant to the staff recommendation. I recommend a yes vote.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wilson, a second by Commissioner O'Malley. Any objections to a unanimous yes vote? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. And
thank you so
Ms.
much.
Hagee and your team. Okay. Yes, great job. Now we will continue on, if that's okay. We are on item 9, the Deputy Director's report for the North Coast District. Just give you a second to change over. Thank you.
Are we ready for me?
Oh, yes, we are. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Harmon and Commissioners. Item 9 is the Deputy Director's report for the North Coast District, which today includes only one reportable item related to an emergency permit in the city of Eureka. We have an emergency Caltrans project that is active and still evolving, and we know members of the public have raised important concerns. There are several factors contributing to the complexity of the situation, and I'm going to walk through those with you now. To begin, I'd like to provide a brief update on the emergency permit that is summarized in today's director's report. This emergency permit has been issued to Caltrans for emergency repairs of the southbound Eureka Slough Bridge, which is a critical segment of Highway 101, where it crosses Eureka Slough on Humboldt Bay, north and east of Eureka's developed core. At an inspection of the bridge in late April of this year, Caltrans identified deteriorated bridge piles, which have compromised the bridge structure, posing imminent danger to the traveling public. As a result, Caltrans had a responsibility to take immediate emergency action These initial actions designed to help mitigate the risk are described in the posted emergency permit, which specifically involved shifting vehicle traffic away from the damaged portion of the bridge, installing monitoring devices, and constructing a bicycle detour, as well as other traffic management measures. As noted, however, the situation has continued to evolve. In June, Caltrans determined that parts of the bridge footings for the southbound bridge are also compromised, demanding additional immediate emergency actions and investigations. Caltrans has issued an emergency declaration to make significant emergency repairs for this bridge, including planned construction of a work trestle to the north of this bridge segment. This work trestle will span the full length of the slough, parallel to the bridge, to allow for these bridge repairs. This work will include in-water work, and pile driving. Caltrans submitted notice of additional necessary emergency work on June 10th, and work on this second phase of the emergency repairs has been ongoing since then. On-site staging began June 15th, and in-water work began earlier this week on July 7th. While the executive director has not yet authorized this second emergency permit, staff are meeting regularly with Caltrans to understand the extent and scope of the emergency to ensure that the work is the minimum necessary to abate the emergency. Commission staff will continue to work with Caltrans to ensure that the necessary work is completed in a manner that also minimizes impacts to sensitive coastal resources. Once we have a full understanding of the situation and the requisite information from Caltrans, the executive director will make a determination on authorizing this emergency work, and we will report out more on this potential second emergency permit at the next hearing. In the interim, I would note that Caltrans has closed through access along a segment of the Eureka Waterfront Trail at the location of trestle construction, as this ongoing construction poses a danger to trail users. This closure is anticipated to last through mid-October. All other parts of the waterfront trail remain open, including the Humboldt Bay Trail segment that runs between Eureka and Arcata. Public comment was submitted by a Humboldt waterkeeper and has been included in the correspondence packet for this item. The comments express concern about the closure of the Humboldt Bay Trail and that construction activities may result in impacts to harbor seals. Caltrans has indicated that they are actively implementing avoidance and minimization measures. These measures include marine mammal monitoring in accordance with the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which includes having qualified biological monitors visually scan the water around active construction for marine mammals. If marine mammals approach to within a 700-foot radius of the work will cease until the marine mammal has left the area. Caltrans is also performing hydroacoustic monitoring during pile driving activities and stop work when hydroacoustic noise approaches certain protective thresholds. Caltrans will also be submitting a weekly report disclosing any marine mammal observations, the proximity of that to any of the work operations, and any noticed behaviors or other relevant information. Caltrans is in active communication with the National Marine Fisheries Service and Commission staff on these protective measures for seals, including the need for additional avoidance and minimization measures. Staff are working closely with Caltrans on this emergency situation, and we plan to report any further emergency actions to the Commission and the public. That concludes the briefing on this item. Staff are available for questions. We do have some public speakers for this item, and I believe Caltrans staff are also available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Apologies. Thank you, Ms. Gray. Any ex partes? Okay, any public comments?
We have the representative for the applicant and Caltrans available for questions, Steve, and then Tim Nelson. And then we have 3 speakers available on Zoom, Jennifer Savage, Jennifer Colt, and then Patricia Dawn Goley. And we're going to go ahead and start with Jennifer Savage. You've been promoted to a panelist. You should be able to go ahead.
Thank you. And I have a slide. Excellent. There it is. Thank you, Jennifer Savage, Surfrider Foundation, speaking on this emergency permit for the Caltrans Eureka Slough Bridge repair. So we understand the emergency, that there's deteriorated bridge piles requiring immediate safety action, but we do share the concerns that Humboldt Waterkeeper raised. I live a few miles from this bridge. I kayak near that slough. I walk my dog on the adjacent trail. So I know the area really well. And I appreciate staff's update on the plans as was just reported. But I still want to highlight that 2 harbor seal haulouts sit within 1 kilometer of the work site in the Eureka Slough. The picture that you see of the harbor seals, I just took that a couple of weeks ago when I was randomly kayaking around. I zoomed in. I was farther away. I want to be clear, no harassment happened. But you can see, like, there's, they're very cute and they're there. And there's a lot of harbor seals right around in that area. The pile driving, the core drilling, the heavy machinery, it all generates acoustic and seismic disturbance that travels quickly underwater. And this work coincides with the start of the harbor seal's molting period, when site-faithful animals most depend on undisturbed haul-out time. Coincidentally, my stepmom is visiting and she's camping at the RV park, which is right next to the project site. And she confirmed that the pile driving noise is indeed intensely loud and near constant when it is happening. So I just really want to ask the Commission to ensure that the follow-up regular CDP does require monitoring by qualified marine mammal observers during all disruptive activities paired with in-air and in-water noise assessment for the full July through October work window. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got Jennifer Colt and then Patricia Dawn Goley. Jennifer is on a phone. You should be able to go ahead now. Jennifer Colt, you should be able to unmute and go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Jennifer Colt with Humboldt Waterkeeper. Although we understand the emergency nature of this situation, it's been very concerning because the harbor seals, as we mentioned in our public comments, are in the very sensitive molting period where if they get disturbed, they need to go back into the water continuously or more frequently than they should, which risks infection. And the draft environmental impact report for this project, the actual bridge replacement project, includes a marine mammal protection plan and hydroacoustic monitoring plan to prevent level B harassment, which is changes in behavior, although Caltrans seems to rely on the seals moving to unaffected suitable habitat in the bay, which in itself is level B harassment. So just expecting the seals to relocate to get away from the noise, that is harassment, and it's really concerning. So I realize the pile driving has already begun under an emergency permit that the Commission has not considered yet, but I really appreciate all of your efforts to look closely at how these hydroacoustic monitoring plan and marine mammal protection plan can do as much as possible to minimize the impacts to the harbor seals. Their haulouts are not within the slough, as I understand it, but they're very close to the slough mouth, two haulouts. And, the haulouts, my understanding is that seals have fidelity to the haulouts that they use. They don't just go and use another haulout somewhere else because there are seals in those haulouts. So it's like anything with nature. It's not just, it's a big vacuum and you can just move somewhere else. The final environmental impact report has not been certified yet, so thank you very much for your attention to this important issue to protect the seals.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Patricia Dawn Goley. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Dawn Goley, and I'm a faculty member at Cal Poly Humboldt and a marine mammalogist. I'm concerned about the potential impacts of the Eureka Slough construction project on harbor seals that haul out on the mudflats. As others have mentioned, I understand the emergency nature, but I strongly encourage the Commission to consider how impacts to the harbor seals could be minimized. Using heavy machinery, driving new pilings, drilling core samples, create both seismic and acoustic signals that travel quickly in marine environments. And these harbor seals, as mentioned, are within 1 kilometer of the construction site, within range to be impacted with loud in-air and in-water sound and seismic disturbance, even if it's not within the 70-foot radius that people are observing. Harbor seals are residents of the bay, have high site fidelity, and one of the most sensitive marine mammals to human disturbance. They're particularly sensitive to both acoustic disturbance in air and water. And I understand that the Caltrans draft EIR and request for emergency NIMS consultation that a hydroacoustic monitoring plan was going to be prepared by a qualified specialist before construction, and that NIMS would be provided a draft in advance. And I'm wondering if that has occurred. And it's critical for Caltrans to provide the hydroacoustic monitoring plan for this project and specifically addressed how these monitoring efforts have taken into account marine mammal sensitivities to acoustic disturbance. In particular, what's the frequency of acoustic monitoring? Where will the hydrophones be deployed? What is the method being used to gather and analyze the data? Are the data being made available to monitors in real time and able to be relayed to construction crew in real time? And what are the reporting protocols? Have sound attenuation systems been implemented for fish or marine mammals? And can you specify the types of systems being used and the parameters of these systems? While I understand it's an emergency, it seems that construction will be continuing, and these questions need to be urgently addressed to avoid disturbance and potential abandonment of important habitat for federally protected marine mammals, in this case, harbor seals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No more speakers.
Okay, thank you. I'll see if Ms. Gray would like to respond. If not, I'll return to the Commission. I can't see you, so.
I would like to just say a few comments. I really appreciate all the concerns laid out by the public, and we share those concerns. And we are actively working with Caltrans to try to make sure we are on the same page with the minimization measures. I know there was a question about the hydroacoustic plan. I know that there has been one that is under development. Our staff has not received it yet, but I suspect we will be getting that shortly, and that will help us make the determination about the impacts. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I will return to the Commission. Comments, questions, or seeing none, I'll ask if there are any objections to the Deputy Director's report. Seeing none. The Commission concurs. Thank you very much. All right, now we are on to item 11, the DDR for the South Coast District, please. Mr. Schwing.
Thank you, Chair Harmon. And in this report, we have 6 waivers for residential projects in San Clemente. We're also reporting an emergency CDP to fill sinkholes that form behind an existing seawall at 1771 Ocean Way in Laguna Beach. Follow-up CDPs will be required through the city and or this commission, depending on the scope and location of the final project. And this is just a report out. There's no action for the commission to take on the emergency matter. We're also reporting that the city of Newport Beach completed the adoption of their LCP amendment related to implementation of their 6th cycle housing element. Executive directors determined the city's actions are legally adequate to complete the certification process on that item. So with that, we're asking whether 3 or more commissioners object to any of the waivers in the report.
Thank you. Any ex partes? Any public comments?
We have 1 individual available for questions only.
Great, thank you. Do 3 or more commissioners object to the item in the Deputy Director's report? Seeing none, the Commission concurs. Okay, I'm going to suggest we continue on to item 13A, please. This is the Jorst Family Trust Appeal. Thank you.
Sounds great. And Jeff Palm with our Long Beach office is doing the staff presentation on that matter. And there is a staff PowerPoint if you could bring that up. And Jeff, when you're ready, please begin.
All right. Thank you, Carl.
Almost afternoon, Commissioners. Item 13A is the substantial issue determination and de novo action for Appeal A-5-LGB-26-0004 of a local CDP approved by the City of Laguna Beach. The applicant is Jorst Family Trust, and the appellants are Vice Chair Carol Hart and Commissioner Raymond Jackson. The standard of review in determining whether the appeal raises a substantial issue is the city's certified LCP and the public access policies of the Coastal Act. If the commission determines that a substantial issue is raised, as recommended by staff, the de novo hearing will follow immediately. Next slide, please. The project site is a rectangular ocean-fronting bluff-top lot located at 154 Thalia Street in the city of Laguna Beach in Orange County. The site is located above Thalia Beach and is located between the first public road parallel to the sea and the sea. Public access to the beach is available via Thalia Street to Thalia Street Beach located immediately down coast of the project site. The existing structure is a 2-unit, 2-story historic structure constructed prior to the enactment of the Coastal Act that consists of approximately 1,600 square foot primary unit, an approximately 400 square foot attached second unit, a 328 square foot attached 2-car garage, and an approximately 400 square foot seaward deck. Next slide, please. The city-approved project is described as additions to and remodel of an existing duplex, including lower and upper level additions and elevated deck additions within the front, rear, and side setbacks, a new spa, landscaping, and hardscape. The city staff report found that the proposed lower and upper level additions, new patio, and spa would all be located landward of the 25-foot bluff top setback, as well as the applicable deck and building string lines, with no development proposed on the bluff face, including the proposed seaward addition outlined in blue on this slide. Next slide, please. The primary issue raised by the appeal is the locally approved CDP's consistency with LCP policies regarding development on an oceanfront bluff site, bluff edge setbacks, and the seaward expansion of the structure. The city-approved project identified the bluff edge at an elevation of approximately 34 feet. According to the commission's staff geologist, this interpretation of the bluff edge is located on the bluff face and is not the correct bluff edge pursuant to the city's certified LCP. Based on a correct interpretation of the bluff edge definition, according to the information available to the commission's geologist, the bluff edge will be located at an elevation of approximately 62 feet, which is substantially upslope of the city's approved bluff edge delineation. The correct identification of the bluff edge affects what is approvable, consistent with the LCP, and as a result, the proposed addition, spa, and patio do not comply with the applicable building setbacks. Additionally, the appellants contend the city-approved project included a pile and grade beam foundation system to support a proposed spa is inconsistent with LUE Action 7313 prohibiting the use of protective devices for the sole purpose of protecting an accessory structure. Furthermore, the appellants contend the local findings did not provide sufficient evidence to substantiate the city's conclusion that the seaward expansion of the structure would not result in impacts to visual resources from adjacent public viewpoints. For the reasons discussed in this presentation and in the staff report, staff believes the city did not substantially support its approval of the project as being consistent with all of the applicable policies of the certified LCP and the public access and recreation provisions of the Coastal Act, and that the development could have a significant cumulative adverse impact on coastal resources, and therefore staff recommends that the commission find substantial issue with regard to the grounds on which the appeal has been filed. Unless 3 or more commissioners wish to hold a hearing on that question, substantial issue will be deemed to exist. If substantial issue is found to exist, we will move on to the commission's de novo action, and I will send it back to you, Chair Harmon, for a moment.
Great. Thank you very much. So at this point, I'm going to ask if there are any ex partes. All right. Seeing none, we will go to the appellant.
No, you go to the substantial issue question right
Okay.
now.
Excuse me. Thank you. Do 3 or more commissioners object to thank you.
Sorry.
No, very. Do 3 or more commissioners object to the finding of substantial issue? Seeing no such objection, substantial issue has been found. Thank you. Back to you.
All right. Thank you. Next slide, please. Since the appeal was filed, the applicant has worked closely with commission staff and has significantly revised the project and removed all new development proposed seaward of the bluff edge delineated by the commission staff geologist outlined in blue on this slide. The applicant has elected to remove the proposed addition on the seaward side of the structure, spa, patio expansion, deck addition, and new hardscape and associated exterior improvements from the proposed scope of work, which are the portions of the project presenting an inconsistency with the LCP policies. As such, the revised project is a minor remodel to an existing historic home built prior to the enactment of the Coastal Act with improvements to the existing seaward deck and is consistent with the LCP. Next slide, please. In conclusion, staff is recommending approval of the de novo permit with 4 special conditions that require the applicant to submit final plans, implement construction best management practices, require all proposed landscaping to be drought tolerant, non-invasive plants, and protect archaeological, paleontological, and tribal cultural resources through monitoring of ground disturbing activities. The motion and resolution can be found on page 15 of the staff report. Staff would also like to note that an addendum was posted to update the staff report by revising Special Condition 4 in response to tribal consultation, and the applicant is in agreement with the staff recommendation. This concludes the staff presentation, and staff is available for questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Palm. So now we will go to the project applicant. Perhaps they're online.
So we have Lance Polster available for questions only.
Okay, great. Then with that, we will go to public comment.
We have one individual, Mitch Silverstein. You have been promoted to a panelist. You should be able to go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mitch Silverstein with Surfrider Foundation. I very much regret not being able to attend in person this month. Surfrider supports the staff recommendation, and I want to thank Vice Chair Hart and Commissioner Jackson for filing this appeal. The city approved this project with the bluff edge at 34 feet. The Commission's geologist puts it at 62 feet. That is more than a rounding error. It's a 28-foot difference that turned bluff face into buildable bluff top that would have allowed an addition, a spa, and a patio jutting out over the bluff, and with unauthorized armoring. This is the pattern we see. A property owner's geologist draws the bluff edge, the city accepts it, and the line always seems to move seaward. The people who lose are beachgoers because hazardously sited development then leads to armoring the bluff and the beach in front of it. Setbacks are the only real protection the public has, and they only work if the bluff edge is drawn honestly. This case is a good argument for sustained monitoring of local permit decisions. One request, staff finds this project is under the 50% redevelopment threshold, 44% of exterior walls, 37% of foundations, but those percentages are measured against the house as it stands today, which already includes previous improvements in the 1980s. It seems there's no real baseline in this record and no cumulative total, and nothing the applicant is required to accept. So who's really keeping count? Right now, it sounds like nobody. Your own 2024 sea level rise policy guidance says cumulative improvements should be counted from a fixed date, like the effective date of the Coastal Act. Laguna's LCP doesn't do that, and this permit could. We ask for 2 conditions. First, record this project's percentages against that baseline and have the property owner agree to that. And then second, a future improvements condition, as in the Reina appeal a couple months ago, which was also Laguna Beach. So the next remodel requires a permit and gets counted as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silverstein. No more speakers.
Great, thank you very much. I'll return to our staff, or Mr. Palm, if you want to make any closing comments.
Yeah, Jeff, if you're available, do you have any comments in response to the questions raised?
Yeah, just briefly, we just mentioned, we do look at the percent calculations as it relates to, demolition, additions, et cetera. The city's LCP defines major remodel as any structural change that would exceed 50%, additions that exceed 50%, height increases, et cetera. In this particular case, it does not meet the threshold for a major remodel. We do account for permit history in that as well. Would also just briefly note that this particular residence is a historic structure, so the cumulative change isn't a particular concern as it relates to coastal resources. But beyond that, I don't have any further comments.
Okay, Thank you very much. Returning to the commission for comments, questions, or a motion, Vice Chair Hart.
Thanks. I'm happy to make the motion. Okay. I move that the commission approve coastal development permit number A-5-LGB-26-0004 pursuant to the staff recommendation, asking for a yes vote.
Second. Okay, that's a motion by Vice Chair Hart, a second by Commissioner Kelly. They're asking for a yes vote. Any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, for time management for my colleagues, we are going to try to finish out today's agenda before taking a lunch break. So if you need to use the restroom or step out, please just be mindful of quorum. With that, we are going to continue on. Brings us to item 14B, please.
Thank you, Chair Harmon. And there is a staff PowerPoint presentation on this item, and Fernie Tsai with our Long Beach office is going to make the staff presentation on this item. Fernie, when you're ready, please go ahead.
Excuse me. Well, good afternoon, commissioners. Excuse me. Item Thursday 14B is an application by St. Anne Church for development consisting of the demolition and reconstruction of the religious facilities parish hall, chapel, and parish offices, and the demolition of the existing priest residences and construction of a new priest residence building, which will also be part of the church campus, all located at 326, 328, and 340 10th Street in the city of Seal Beach. The project also includes hardscape and landscape improvements, as well as reconfiguration of the existing parking lot and realignment of the existing curb cuts. Surrounding land uses include residences, a car repair facility, and a sandwich shop. Next slide, please. The slide on the screen shows the existing site plan. The existing priest residences, again, parish hall, chapel, and parish offices will be demolished. Also, the existing 62-space parking lot will be modified. The existing one-story, 3,350 square foot church structure located on the right of the slide will remain and be unaltered by the proposed project. Next slide, please. This slide shows the proposed site plan. The new parish hall is proposed to be a two-story, approximately 25-foot tall, 8,293 square foot structure. The new parish office building is proposed to be a two-story, approximately 25-foot tall, 4,091 square foot structure. The new chapel is proposed to be a one-story and consists of 352 square feet. And the proposed two-story, approximately 25-foot tall priest residence will consist of 5 units with an attached 2-car garage and 2 exterior parking spaces. Hardscape and landscape improvements again are proposed, and the parking lot will be reconfigured. And again, the curb cuts will, the curb cuts will be realigned. Grading will consist of 250 square feet and 260 square feet of cut and 260 square feet cubic yards of fill. I apologize. The proposed project has been designed to address sea level rise through flood-proofing measures. The proposed water quality management plan incorporates the use of a modular wetland system to capture and treat site runoff. And residential capacity is maintained and improved on site by replacing the 3 existing priest residences with a 5-unit residence and shared amenities for the priests. As such, no residential units will be displaced. Staff did receive 1 comment letter, which is posted under correspondence on our website. It raised a variety of issues, only a few of which are related to coastal resources. One such comment suggests that the proposed on-site parking conditions are inadequate. However, the proposed parking meets local parking standards and does not remove any on-street public parking. The commenter also offered some suggestions on opening the on-site parking up for public use when a church facility isn't operating in order to facilitate coastal access. Staff would generally support a shared use like this, but the applicant hasn't proposed this, and staff didn't identify any access impacts created by the project that would justify making this type of requirement. The commenter also takes issue with some of the project's design, but staff concluded the proposed buildings are similar in mass and scale to the surrounding development, that consists of 1 or 2-story residential and commercial structures, and would be consistent with the visual character of other structures in the area. Further, there are no public views within the vicinity of the project site, either across or above. Next slide, please. Special Condition 5 has been imposed, which requires any proposed landscaping only to consist of drought-tolerant and non-invasive species. However, the applicant has requested that 2 proposed palm tree species, the king palm and queen palm, which are of moderate water use, be allowed due to their association with the religious facility. Additionally, 3 existing queen palms along 10th Street are proposed to remain. The applicant has stated that the remaining 96% of the proposed plantings will be of low water use. To protect existing and proposed palm trees for religious reasons, and since the remaining landscape on site will consist of low water use, with no impacts anticipated to any resources, the use of these 2 palm species we feel should be allowed. Commission staff modified the special condition to allow the use of these 2 palm tree species as shown on the slide on the screen. The proposed language change can be seen in the yellow highlight. Next slide, please. In addition to the special condition already discussed, several other special conditions are recommended as noted on the slide. If approved with conditions to address development located in hazardous areas and to preserve marine resources, water quality, archaeological, tribal culture resources, and visual resources, the proposed project will conform to Chapter 3 policies of the Coastal Act. Therefore, staff recommends the Commission approve CDP number 5-25-0863 with 7 special conditions. The motions and resolutions are on page 4 of the staff report. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Great, thank you very much. I will return to the commission, ask if there are any ex partes. I had an ex parte this morning from 8:45 to 8:50 max with Don Schmitz representing the applicant, where he just indicated that they were in agreement with staff recommendation, mentioned the low water use plants, or landscaping rather, and that this was a wonderful project. With that, we will, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to report an ex parte with Don Schmitz as well at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, covering all the issues you just highlighted, Madam Chair, and commending the collaboration and cooperation again highlighted between the applicant and staff. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we will go to the applicant, Mr. Schmitz. It's your time at the mic, and we'll put 7 minutes on the clock, please.
Good morning, good afternoon. Before you start the clock, I'd like to show you what we're not going to do today. Would the people that drove a couple hours to be here to testify please stand up? Everybody here is in support, and that's going to move the agenda along, I do believe. So you bet. If we could get my PowerPoint presentation up, please. Again, for the record, my name is Don Schmitz. It's my great honor to be here representing St. Anne's Church, except no clicker. Are you going to advance it for me?
Just say next slide.
Okay, next slide, please. So, yes, we are in agreement with all the special conditions. We want to show you the history of this church, which goes way back. Next slide, please. Back to 1936, the original church was right across the street. Next slide. And the property, next slide, was originally purchased for the construction of the church. You're going to have to be quicker on the clicker, man. They got me in a short time frame here. Which you can see is 1937. It's a beautiful church. Next slide, please. Additional parcels were purchased by the church. Next slide. This is 1938. Next slide, please. And the parcels which were purchased were converted into a parking lot. Next slide. And then the 2 small houses next door were purchased strictly for the use of the church itself. It's never been public housing. Next slide. And the rectory, the parish hall was expanded back in 1967. Next slide. So this is the master plan layout. Next slide. This is shown to you by staff. And I want you to dwell for a moment on this rendering. You can see that what is being proposed is well in keeping with the surrounding community character in regards to the commercial and residential development. Next slide. This is agonizingly slow. I'm feeling the pressure, Chair. Okay, so this is a rendering of the church campus. Next slide, please. And you can see that the architect, Chuck Kluger, who specializes in church architecture, he's done a magnificent job in carrying forward the architectural theme from the church which was constructed in the 1930s. Next slide. This is the parish hall and offices rendering. You can see the original church in the background. Next slide. And this is the priest house. Next slide. This is essentially a spiritual center for Old Town Seal Beach. Next slide. It just kind of happened this way. The Methodists beat the Catholics into the area. Their church was constructed in 1915, and this is where all the churches in Old Town Seal Beach are located. Next slide, please. You can see this is an aerial of the existing facilities, and you can see where everything's going to be placed. Next slide. And this also shows you the community character. There's a large commercial shopping center across Pacific Coast Highway. Next slide. Pretty substantial commercial development on all sides of us. Next slide. And the residential development in the area and the commercial development. This will not have deleterious impacts to the view shed from Pacific Coast Highway or have negative impacts on the community character. Next slide, please. This is looking to the north, and you can see in the foreground the residential development is actually as tall or taller than what it is being proposed by the church. Next slide. So the staff has appropriately determined that the project is consistent with Section 30251 of the Coastal Act. Next slide. This speaks towards, and the next slide, please. What is being proposed here is a very long-term dream so this church can fulfill its core competencies to serve the spiritual needs of the community. Next slide. And I'll just keep it moving. Next slide, please. We are expanding the amount of units which are currently available. There will be 5 units on this consolidated larger residential building. Next slide. This is important, as is referenced in the staff report. There will be no displacement of residential use, and the priest house will be strictly for the clergy and for a caretaker there on the property, which is a long tradition of the Catholic Church in regards to having retired priests as well as the active priests to serve the spiritual needs of the parish. Next slide. The curb cuts will be modified, but there will be no reduction in the amount of off-site parking. There will be no reduction of the street parking. This was something that the staff looked at it with us very carefully. There's 8 now. We have to modify the curb cuts so that the parking lot, which is being expanded, will flow according to code, but there is no reduction of the 8 spots along 10th Street. Next slide. As referenced in the staff report. Next slide. The parking lot will actually be expanded. There will be 69 spaces, which is an increase. We do meet the parking requirements as promulgated in the Seal Beach codes. Next slide. The requiring parking is actually exceeded from the code requirements. Next slide. So therefore, the project has been found to be consistent with the coastal access standards of the Chapter 3 policies, and that is referenced in your staff report as well. Next slide, please. We did a sea level rise study all the way out at the end of the lifespan as required by that study. There's a potential for some minor flooding. It's statistically unlikely. Nevertheless, we worked with staff to make sure we incorporated appropriate measures for the future, including, next slide, waterproof foundations, and additional steps could be taken, and it is already engineered that should there ever be a significant sea level rise where there could be flooding on the property, we can drop in dams into the apertures of the buildings. Next slide. And so the staff has found the project to be consistent with 30253 and 30270 of the Coastal Act. Next slide. We do have a very complete water quality management plan. Next slide. Where currently we have a very antiquated parking lot. It's not filtered, it's not maintained. The new parking lot will be properly engineered. All drainage will be collected and will be taken through a bioswale for water polishing before discharge in the streets. Next slide. And we are found consistent with Section 30230 and 31 of the Coastal Act accordingly. Next slide. The construction staging is something that staff asked us to take a look at. There will be no displacement of any parking or traffic flows. Next slide. In fact, 95% of all the construction access for the development of the property will be coming in off the alleyway in the back. It will have no impacts on coastal access. It'll have no significant impacts on the surrounding neighborhood. Next slide. We have agreed to an archaeological monitor, both a professional archaeologist and a Native American monitor on the site. We've already hired the archaeologist. He's already determined there's no map sites within a half a mile to a mile of the property. Nonetheless, anytime there's any disturbance of the ground, any grading, the site will be monitored. Next slide. And the coastal act and the staff report references, therefore, consistency with section 30244 of the Coastal Act. Next slide. And next slide. Just also to reemphasize the issue of the landscaping. Yes, there's a slight tweak on the special condition, but we are 96% is low or very low. So overall, the net water demand for the landscaping plan is consistent with the way that the condition was originally crafted. So I want to conclude with this. I want to thank your staff, in particular on this particular project. They spent a lot of time with us before we finalized this design and had constructive criticisms which we incorporated into the report. And they really went the extra mile with us to work on coming up with a winner project. And one other comment or observation that comes from the public comment that you heard this morning. I've been making presentations as commission for close to 40 years, and never once when I finished on time did anybody say, honey, that was perfect. So thank you, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
I was going to say, unfortunately, Mr. Schmitz, today is not the day. All right, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, with that, we will go to public comment.
All right, so assuming that was everybody standing up, but just to double check, we're going to take Kathy Smith. You want to say? Oh, they could just raise their hand if they're here. Just want to make sure that was all the people. But Kathy Smith, John M. Shimoto, Donald Miller, Mary Ann Barnes, Mark Arnold, Julie Enriquez, Phil Jones. Is that everybody? Okay, that completes public comment.
Great, wonderful, and thank you all so much for being here and joining us today. We really appreciate it. Okay, with that, I will return to the commission. Comments, questions? Commissioner Jackson.
Just a quick comment. Thank you all for being here. Driving 2 hours to be here speaks volumes. So your presence, 3 hours for the gentleman on the far right. So Don will buy you lunch for driving the farthest. And special condition. And real quickly, obviously no one's going to say that was perfect, Don. But thanks to our father here, I think it shows that the fact that he kept his comments relatively short proves that miracles do happen. So thank you, Father, for that. And that's all I had, Madam Chair. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Understood. Commissioner Wilson for the motion.
All right. I move that the commission approve coastal development permit number 5-25-0863 pursuant to the staff recommendation, and I recommend a yes vote.
Second. It's a motion by Commissioner Wilson, a second by Commissioner Kelly. Any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're going to keep on keeping on. Item 15, the Deputy Director's report for the San Diego Coast District, please.
All right, thank you. So I'll start by reporting that the City of Oceanside completed adoption of their LCP amendment with suggested modifications related to their inclusionary housing ordinance, and the executive directors determined those actions are legally adequate to complete the certification process. Next, we're reporting 5 waivers for projects in Imperial Beach, Solana Beach, and San Diego, and 1 CDP time extension for the San Elijo State Beach campground improvements. There's no known opposition on those items. Last, though, I do want to report on 1 immaterial amendment for an extension of time on the City of Carlsbad's loss and scenes revetment. We do have an objection, so I do have a few comments that are perhaps a little bit long-winded, but we have a lot of good information to share. So for CDP 616-450A2, the Carlsbad Boulevard revetment, we received a written objection from Surfrider Foundation, arguing that the requested 7-year extension should be treated as a material amendment. The original CDP authorized retention of an approximately 500-foot-long revetment installed to protect southbound Carlsbad Boulevard, while the city prepared a long-term hazards management plan. In 2023, the Commission approved an amendment to extend the authorization for an additional year through 2024. And the subject amendment would extend the authorized lifespan of the revetment by an additional 7 years to 2031. Surfrider argues that extending the authorization materially changes the original permit because extending the timeline delays triggering the mitigation and alternatives analysis to the revetment required by the original permit for any continued retention of the revetment beyond its initial authorization period. And of course, we do appreciate these concerns. However, we continue to recommend the amendment remain immaterial. Since the original approval, Commission staff has worked closely with the City of Carlsbad on developing the long-term hazards management plan contemplated in the original permit. During this period, the city has completed several technical studies, including a cliff erosion assessment, habitat restoration analysis for the Las Encinas Creek, and an interim design alternatives analysis that developed 3 preliminary realignment concepts addressing resilience to coastal flooding, cliff erosion, and other sea level rise impacts. That initial planning effort was funded by the Coastal Conservancy in 2020, and although the city's made measurable progress toward meeting the requirements of the permit, it has not yet secured funding necessary to advance the project to final design, environmental review, and preparation of the CDP application, which is required under the original permit. So over the last 2 years, the city has pursued multiple state and federal grant opportunities for this next phase, but it has not yet been awarded any additional funds. The requested time extension will allow the city to obtain the funding necessary to go from feasibility level analysis to full project development. The next phase will include refining the preferred roadway alignment and environmental restoration alternative, conducting a constructability analysis, and completing environmental documentation and permitting. These deliverables will form the foundation of the future CDP application required by the underlying permit, including the required alternatives and mitigation analysis. So the city indicated that once funding secured, it anticipates about 3 years of work before submitting the CDP application. And the 7-year extension therefore provides sufficient time for both secure funding and to complete the required technical work before the revetment authorization expires in 2031. So staff agrees that progress on the long-term solution has taken longer than originally anticipated. When the Commission approved the 5-year temporary authorization, however, the proposed amendment does not authorize new development. It does not expand or alter the existing protection. It doesn't modify or relax any condition on the underlying permit. So all requirements of the permit, including the obligations to prepare and submit a long-term CDP, provide an alternatives analysis and provide mitigation for any proposed continued retention, remain fully in effect. So again, staff continues to recommend that amendment qualifies as an immaterial amendment. If 3 or more commissioners object to the designation, we would bring the matter back as a regular calendar matter. So with that, I'll conclude my comments. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Any ex partes? Any public comments?
Yes. We have Kathleen Steidenberger. She should be here in person. And then after that, we'll go to Zoom. We have about 4 speakers on Zoom: Brandon Miles, Mitch Silverstein, George Broadway, and Tom Frank. We'll be moving you guys to panelists shortly.
Good afternoon, Coastal Commissioners and Coastal staff. My name is Kathleen Steindelberger. I'm a resident of Carlsbad, so I also drove quite a bit to come up here. And I'm also the former chair of the City of Carlsbad Beach Preservation Commission. I'm here because I love our beaches in Carlsbad. My family grew up surfing and swimming there, and I am hoping with good decision-making, our beaches remain for the next generation. Please decline to approve CDP Amendment number 616-045082 as immaterial amendment. Extending the authorization period for this 2015-2016 emergency permit rock revetment placed north of Encinitas Creek by 7 years would have adverse impacts on coastal resources, public access, and recreation. Despite strong enforceable conditions imposed by the coastal staff, since 2024, this project has had zero progress. Further storm-induced erosion and damage along this highway is foreseen, not unforeseen. This stretch of road already overtops during king tides and large swells at high tide. Forecasts of another El Nino this winter raise the realistic prospect of further bluff failure, road closures, and potential additional emergency permit requests for more rock revetment along this stretch of Carlsbad Boulevard. How much time do I have left? Okay. The June 2026 Carlsbad budget passed with an excess of $144 million, yet $0 were allocated for this project. This permit extension allows the project to remain stagnant with a continued promise of studying feasibility and design alternatives without definitive plans. Adverse impacts of delaying this permit are not hypothetical. If we continue this action for another 7 years before finding solutions, we will lose the beach at this location in Carlsbad. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon Miles and Mitch Silverstein. So Brandon Miles first.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brandon Miles, City of Carlsbad. Over the last several years, the city has advanced planning and adaptation work. We've completed sea level rise vulnerability assessment in 2017, identifying South Carlsbad Boulevard as high risk. Since 2020, the city has accepted State Coastal Conservancy grant funding, retained a consultant, developed public engagement plan, advanced a community vision, and completed a 30% roadway design. In 2023, the City Council approved a 2-lane road concept to move forward under the Conservancy grant. The estimated construction cost was approximately $280 million. The city does not currently have that level of budgeted funding and must pursue additional grant opportunities to finance the project. To date, the city has submitted 7 grant applications, including a recent $2 million Ocean Protection Council request and an invitation to submit a full application to the State Coastal Conservancy grant, which we plan to submit soon. The city has also implemented active transportation and parking improvements and traffic calming along Carlsbad Boulevard. We are requesting an extension until March 2031, a 5-year extension to continue design, permitting, monitoring, and grant pursuant for durable realignment solution. If the extension is denied and the existing revetment is removed before relocation occurs, this roadway segment faces likely severe erosion and closure. The city has surveyed and plans to continue surveying the revetment every 5 years since 2015. Monitoring shows only minor movement and continues to protect access today. We appreciate the partnership with local districts, value public input, including Surfriders' participation, and support the district's recommendations on this item. With me is Tom Frank, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mitch Silverstein. He has a PowerPoint, which we have ready. And then you have George Broadway, who's also available for questions, and Tom Frank, like Brandon Miles said, available for questions as well. Mitch Silverstein. Mitch, I see you on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you. Mitch Silverstein with Surfrider. I live in Carlsbad and know this stretch well. This revetment protects a road with no viable future, a road that must and can be realigned out of harm's way. Next slide. I want to credit Carlsbad City staff for their initial work here. That work happened in part because of the conditions of this permit. They made incredible progress from 2020 to 2024, as city staff just detailed, and this photo shows some of those works in progress. I'll also say that that design and permitting of this realignment project is a priority project in their current strategic plan. Next slide. Here's the picture. The southbound road is threatened and the beach is disappearing, accelerated by the armoring permit in front of you today. The fix is to move southbound traffic onto the existing northbound road, just follow the arrow, demolish the old road, and free up all that space for a natural beach resilient to 6.5 feet of sea level rise. In 2024, progress stopped. The city states it cannot advance design or permitting without new grant funding, but its 2026 budget says otherwise. Carlsbad sits on a massive reserve and has spent tens of millions on nearby Carlsbad Boulevard sidewalk widening that is welcome but not critical. For this project, nothing beyond a $2 million grant it hopes to win. This is a matter of priorities, not funding. Next slide. This is from a month ago. High tides and swell produce this result every time. Next slide. This is two angles of the same area. This is flanking erosion at the north of the revetment in front of you today. More emergency armoring requests are coming this El Nino winter. Look at how close that is to the road. Next slide. We created a word cloud from the city's public survey, which asked the question, what do you want to see here in the future? Beach is the word. I do not see armoring or road. Next slide. This amendment means 13 years in place with no mitigation for sand supply impacts and no long-term hazards management CDP. Both are required by this permit. Almost finished. That required CDP doesn't require immediate implementation. It allows an event-driven schedule that can account for funding constraints. What is required is commitment. The city has the studies, the alternatives, and the money. So Surfrider asks that you approve a 2-year extension only, or reject the immaterial amendment and require material review, because the longer extension will cause adverse impacts to access and resources. Thank you.
Thank you. No more speakers, only the ones available for questions.
Great, thank you very much. So, Mr. Schwing, I know you responded to that. I'll see if you want to make any comments before I turn back to the commission. Okay, fine, great, thank you so much. So returning to the commission, questions, comments, or looking to see if any commissioners object?
Yeah, I just
Commissioner
want to,
O'Malley.
just for the record, I'm convinced by what Mitch and the Surfrider folks, and I actually just only read this morning, and I was in my mind thinking, oh, 2 years sounds reasonable, and then to hear him say it, I just think for immaterial in 7 years, given where we are, it's something that I'd want to hear more about one way or the other, so I'm just going to, for the record, put my objection on.
Thank you. Commissioner Lowenberg, followed by Commissioner Jackson.
I agree. I just think 7 years is too long. And obviously this is eroding, and this winter is going to be, by all accounts, very, very bad in 27. So I think if there's a way to maybe shorten this up a little bit or have it up for review at some point, we can keep pushing, would be maybe a different way to go.
Through the chair, if I could respond. Yeah, I mean, I'll leave it to Carl to get a little more specific, but I think that, the issue here is that we have a project that we're all moving towards. There isn't a retreat plan here that everyone is moving towards, and that's unusual, but that's where they're headed. The challenge is getting the right set of funding to move the project forward. And you all know how long it can take a project to move forward. So we worked with the city to try to come up with a reasonable amount of time so that we didn't have to bring this back. Now, I appreciate the desire to push and keep things moving because it is clearly a dangerous area. That is very true. I don't think we felt comfortable telling the city how to spend their money in the sense that, the budgetary issue, that's not our issue, right? That's something the city needs to figure out how it's going to fund this project. And so we felt it was reasonable, given they have no funding now, or no identified funding, I should say, right now, that 7 years to us felt reasonable, given it's a significant project, moving this big road inland, it's going to take a while. So that's why I just wanted you to understand why we agreed that 7 years felt like a reasonable time frame. That said, if it is the will of the commission to hear this or to dig into that number a little more, that's of course your option. But from our perspective, we felt 7 years, and with the city, in conjunction with the city. But let me turn it over to Carl.
But can I just ask a question? Is there the political will to do this? I mean, sometimes, you know, people have the best of intents and they ask more time, oh, we don't have the funding, we don't have this. But when there is the political will to get something done, I don't know, it's all of a sudden money materializes, has been my experience with local governments over the years. So I would just think that we need to figure out a way to keep the pedal down here. And if they do have a surplus, we can't tell them how to spend it, but we can put pressure on them to find the do-re-mi somewhere.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the sides to this. You know, picture says 1,000 words, and that photo that was showed by surf riders, I mean, speaks volumes. And that just shows urgency. 7 years does not, in my mind, as a local elected, denote anything that's urgent. That kicked the can down the road in my world. And I don't think we have that time because, you know, 7 years means, okay, we don't have to, you know, and hope is not an option here. Hope is not a strategy. So there needs to be a strategy and a prioritization in my mind, consistent with what my colleagues were saying in terms of, you know, maybe not pressuring, but certainly nudging to make something happen sooner versus later. And I don't think 7 years is sufficient enough nudge for that.
And if I may, through the chair, just to be clear, we're at this point we're talking about 5 years going forward. So the 7 covered 2 past years. So what we have remaining is 5 years. 2031 is the deadline with the changes staff recommended.
Commissioner Lopez. I mean, yes, sorry.
Yeah, so I just want to come at this from the perspective also of a local government official. We're here obviously as commissioners, but we're assigned via some of those roles so that we can bring that perspective to the table. I just want to share, I've got a community that's gone 16 years without clean drinking water, and the state is responsible for that. So I appreciate the concern around 7, but being realistic about what it's going to take in a partnership to solve something like this, I just see realistically 5 may not be enough. I'm supportive of the 7, which becomes 5, just acknowledging that even getting a stretch of a different project, a stretch of Highway 101, where I have deaths every year closed off, I'm at year 8 and being told 7 more for actual construction. So we're looking at 15 years on that, and that's literal life and death in my community. So with those 2 projects as perspective on time frame, I can appreciate the 5, and I see 5 as a bit of a priority given the realistic time frames that I've experienced. And so you would use that to back what our staff is recommending here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a list of folks, but I'm going to take my prerogative briefly to just align myself with Commissioner Lopez's comments. And I was thinking throughout this conversation, as a local government representative, 5 years seems pretty darn fast, which I know is hard to wrap our heads around, but in the local government context, it absolutely is. That said, this is a great conversation to be having, and I am certain that everyone is listening and understanding what a priority it is, not just for the community, but also as a commission, that these types of really dangerous conditions are resolved. So with that, I'm just aligning myself with Commissioner Lopez, but think that it's an incredibly valuable conversation to continue. So Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. Could I get clarity of what has transpired in the last 2 years? Like, do we have SCRRA completed? Is there 65% design? Like, what's the status?
I don't believe SCRRA's been completed.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the status of design, but we do have city staff available for questions. So perhaps they would be willing to answer that question.
Okay, and what if the road is completely blown out in an El Nino situation and we have emergency repair? I come at this fully appreciating the timeline it takes for a local infrastructure project, but listening to the Eureka project earlier and what it takes for emergency repair, the city would be responsible for that, obviously, but an additional 5 years seems a little long, given the condition of the roadway right now.
We do have the city on Zoom if you guys like to talk to them. Tom
Yeah,
Frank.
if
I'd
they'd like
love
to
to see their, or hear their calendar, sorry, their
No, no,
schedule.
please. If they'd like to respond and perhaps let us know what actions have been completed or underway as to date. Thank you. They're available.
Tom Frank, you should be unmuted. Or Brandon Miles.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Tom Frank, and I'm the Transportation Director and City Engineer for the city. And first off, I wanted to thank the Executive Director and Deputy Director for framing up the project very well. And then I heard you did clarify that it's actually 5 years for moving the project forward and delivering the design and environmental studies from this date forward. Again, what has been done? Well, you've heard that we completed the study to evaluate the hazard along the coastline. The last report was submitted to the city in 2024. And in that, the city council selected a 30% design for a one-way roadway in each direction. And it was, as Mitch said, with Surfrider, parallel or along the current northbound direction. But just wanted to frame up that the city realizes that this is a priority project. We actually have 2 capital improvement projects already established for this road segment. And we have $2 million appropriated for furthering this project. But just to mention, the project that was approved conceptually at the 30% design level by City Council in the 2023 timeframe, that cost estimate was $280 million. And so while the city is responsible with their finances, there's a lot of different responsibilities that the city needs to budget for, and we don't have that type of money to move this project forward at this time. So we are committed to moving the project forward. The question was asked, like, what can we do if we're limited with our funding options, and we're committed to moving the project forward within this 5-year period through the design and permitting phase. If we're not able to secure that level of funding to fund a $280 million version, we will look at options on what we can afford to deliver for this significant project. And if I didn't mention, beyond the $2 million that's currently appropriated, the city has already spent to date over $2 million, and including the $500,000 that was expended during the last Conservancy grant effort. So hopefully that answers your question. I think there was also a secondary question about the active erosion spots along this road segment. And like one of our residents explained, this is a wonderful coastline, a wonderful coastal road. I travel it every day on my way home, and I also love the beach like so many other people in the city. I monitor the hotspots. We actually addressed an emergency earlier this year just to the north of this area, and we worked with our partners with Coastal Commission staff as well as state parks to address that emergency. So we're very well aware of the hotspots that we need to monitor. I review it all the time and appreciate Surfrider's commitment to being a part of this discussion. We want a really well-vetted project, and we appreciate their participation in the budget discussions, which they did participate in, and we encourage them to continue to participate in to help the city establish its priorities. So hopefully that answered your questions, and I'm happy to answer any other questions.
All right, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Smith. All right, great. So I'll turn to Commissioner Williams and then Commissioner Preciado.
Yeah, I was just going to comment. I mean, a lot of it's already been covered, but just with the whole project scoping process and environmental process, that takes a lot of time. 5 years does seem pretty aggressive to me. So just to, circling back within that time frame, hopefully, we'll have an actual project before us. And of course, $230 million is a lot of money that will just need to be acquired in some way, shape, or form. I know not sure how the federal government is participating in climate change type work right now. So, there are programs that are available, but it's just not where it was before. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Preciado.
Earlier today, I commented on the city of San Diego's financial situation, which is maybe not unique in this day and age in the county or in the state. But I too agree that the 5-year period seems aggressive. Thank you for that word, because it's quite a project, and I'm glad the city was able to illuminate to us that it's a 230, and by the time it gets ready to be done, probably a $300 million project. So it does seem like it's beyond the city's reserves to take this on immediately or to prioritize it over anything else that concerns the city. So I appreciate Commissioner Lopez's comments and the chair's comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's been a really good discussion. So with that, I'll ask whether 3 or more commissioners object to any item in the Deputy Director's report.
Chair, I continue to, and I just want to briefly just speak to that and we can move on. I don't disagree with any of you all, especially those in government, that 5 years, trying to get this would be very difficult, if not impossible. It's aggressive. A third to half of us won't be on this commission in 2 years. And so my idea is, what about giving, those people time to actually revisit the discussion of, 7 years. Now I get it's 5 years, and that's really my main objection. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay.
I can make
Vice Chair Hart.
Yeah, I just feel that the problem is that this is on a DDR, and there's obviously a lot of concern about it. We're hearing large numbers, potential state assistance. There's just so much going on here with this project. And I think, for me anyway, and I think a lot of people share this in Surfrider, the problem is the emergency context of bringing this back over multiple times, and with what we're expecting and is being anticipated this year with the El Nino, the chance of the road blowing out completely and then having to replace the entire road. So I have one question. If it's an emergency repair, how is that paid for? Where does that money come from if it's in the emergency context? Is it different than if the city were to have to come up with the money separately as not an emergency?
I think we would have to ask the city, or maybe one of our other local government
That's what I was
representatives would
thinking.
have a better
Commissioner
answer
Lopez
to
does
that
have a
question than
take
we
on
do.
this. All right.
I have way too much experience in this, so I will share typically the way that it works. If it's an emergency declared by the governor, then FEMA has the ability to step in, or they often do, and fund a project after it is fixed. They will not pay for improvement or movement of that project for a long-term fix. And I give the example of the community of San Ardo, who 2 years ago had their wastewater plant wash away in a river, and we were able to point out that the river has changed course and we needed to move it inland. They said, no, put it back where it is or we will not fund it. So we built that sewer plant right back in the river again. So again, the restrictions on how they're spent and where really confines how our jurisdictions are allowed to respond to disaster by placing things back where they were. But if it's a big enough emergency declared by the governor, then the federal government will fund it to the mass extent. Yeah.
Right. So that is a great explanation of, I think, my concern, and what a lot of people have concern is over and over putting more and more hard armoring, rebuilding, all the costs that are going into trying to fix this thing. So, I mean, in my mind, we need to do something rather than just approve it as part of the DDR. Either approve it as part of the DDR and ask that the city return with an explanation of the game plan here. How is it going with the planning? What grants have they applied for? How is Caltrans involved? I mean, so it's either pull it off the DDR for a more thorough response to these questions, whatever Director Huckelbridge you think is appropriate.
Just process-wise, if it's pulled off the DDR, we would bring it back probably next month as a material amendment, and we would have a full hearing on it. And so there would be more opportunity for discussion and an ability to make changes, for example, or have this discussion a little bit more in depth with the city, if you so choose. If we keep, I think if we kept it in the DDR, we would leave it as is. And I mean, obviously we will continue to work with the city and push and do all the things that we would normally do, but we don't have an ability to add that at this point. to the amendment.
Thank you. I'm supportive of pulling it from the DDR and scheduling it for a full hearing.
Okay, so 2 objections. Is there a third objection?
Yes, and I just want to add that it would be nice to have with that report a financial plan from them to just outline what it is that they're proposing, what the framework is to actually move it forward and sources of funds or other types of projections.
Okay, thank you. So 3 commissioners have objected to this item, so we will need to bring it back as described by Director Hucklebridge. As to the remaining items in the DDR, are there 3 or more commissioners object to any of these items? Seeing no objections on those items, the commission concurs. And now to our final item of the day. It is 16C. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chair Harmon. So the City of San Diego's land use plan amendment to the Barrio Logan Community Plan was filed on May 7th of this year as part of an LCP package containing 4 other separate LCP amendments. The City of San Diego recently submitted an objection to the time extension for the Barrio Logan LCPA, requesting faster processing of the amendment. Staff acknowledges the city's interest in expediting the amendment. However, the city currently has 7 LCP amendments in process, and staff has been reviewing them in the priority order the city has communicated to us. At this point, the city staff have indicated that the De Anza Natural Land Use Plan amendment is their top priority. Because that amendment carries a statutory deadline in September and is a large, high-interest item, staff is planning on bringing that to the commission at the August meeting. So staff is requesting approval of the time extension for the Barrio Logan amendment today. We'll bring it forward as soon as possible, given the statutory deadlines of associated with the city's other LCPA requests. And we do anticipate returning with it later this year, perhaps even as soon as September.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any ex partes? None. Any public comments?
Just available for questions on Zoom, 2 of them.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'll return to the commission. Comments, questions, or a motion? Commissioner Kelly.
I'll just comment that I know that this is has significant public interest from the folks in the community, and hoping that staff can work collectively, even though we're doing the extension, that we would not take the full time and work in partnership with the city to get it complete. And I was able to have a conversation with staff about that, so I feel confident that we're able to move this forward and support staff's recommendation.
Would you like to make the motion?
I'm happy to make the motion.
Vice Chair Hart.
I move the commission extend the 90-day time limit to act on the City of San Diego LCP amendment number LCP-6-BRL-26-0018-1 for 1 year, and also subject to the discussion here that we anticipate it'll be brought significantly sooner. Thank you.
Second.
I understand. I'm just confirming that that motion is acceptable with our council.
I would prefer that, so you said subject to the discussion that we had, and the discussion was very nebulous.
That was a comment accompanying the motion, so I'll limit the motion to that the time extension will be for 1 year.
I'll second still.
Thank you. That's a motion by Vice Chair Hart, a second by Commissioner O'Malley. Any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries. Okay, wonderful. Great job. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all tomorrow.